Yeah, I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat. Yo, grew my hair and took the grill out. Think it's time to put it back in. Trying to get into that big house, turn the crib into the mansion. Needed something with that big bounce. You know I had to hit Jackson. Aaron Rodgers with the quick routes. I'm with the gang, we packing. We on the field that Lambo. Might peel in a Lambo. Running drills in my camo. They know what the M stand for. Still got fam in Hawaii, yeah. Couple fans in the lobby, yeah. Couple grand in my pocket, yeah. Couple grams of wasabi, yeah. Eye it up, no glasses. Light it up, no matches. Wife it up, no ratchets. Might turn my wife to an actress. And we gon' make a movie, no Kim K. Give a fuck about what your friends say. I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
I'm just sticking to the code, I keep it so G. She asked me what I smoke, I'm smoking OG. I don't fool with too many, only catch me 4 deep. Gotta stay away from snakes, swear these people so creep. I've been grinding for a minute, many labels so sleep. These rappers drop a song, be hot for about a week. I put Gucci on my toes, I keep some cold feet. I ain't paying for no hoe, you niggas know me. I'm about to body the beat. I keep me a hottie with me. She wanna for a fee. Give me that for free. Keep me some money on me. Smoking the gas, keep. You with me, sheesh. But need OG, keep.
I got money on my phone and money on me. I got all these hoes, but still lonely. They been blowing on that strong, but still so weak. I've been higher than a drone, but still low-key. We been sitting on the floor, they in the nosebleeds. Lately I've been in control, they can't control me. Yeah, they about to get exposed for being so cheap. I've been sticking to the code and I ain't gon' cheat.
Yeah, head up in the clouds, thought they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test, now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, so nobody's into me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I've been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose, and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like. Yeah, you about to see me on demand like. You know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll. And it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Hey, on the roll, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll. Hey, and it's time to run it up, yeah, you know. Yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor. Yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the Frankie Candles YouTube channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hang on one sec here, guys. Let me, give me one sec. Come on. There we go. Okay. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Frankie Candles live stream every single weekday right here at 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shout out to the CandleMafia. I see you guys in the chat. Bitcoin, are we about to blast off to new all-time highs, guys? As you know, we got the rejection from the macro 786, and I'm going to be straight up front real quick right here before we jump on into the charts, guys. My bias right now is definitely bullish, as I've been talking about for the past couple of weeks. Over the long term, I do think we are headed into new all-time highs. We are coming into some local resistance that we looked at last week on the live stream, and we did put in a higher low, guys. Is this higher low the low we needed to come into new all-time highs? And to be quite honest with you guys, the charts are a bit chopped up. We have some bullish sides on market Cypher B. We have the daily green dot, the 90-minute money flow crossover, which has recently called some big moves to the upside almost every single time we see it pop up. We have the weekly red dot, did not print on Sunday, which is low-key kind of surprising, to be quite honest, because it was so close to printing. You would think, like, you know, even if it was to be a fake out, I would have expected it to print this weekend. But we are in a little bit of a pickle here, guys. There are some things pointing to the new all-time highs. We're also technically not out of the woods here for the lower highs to continue us, for a bigger retracement down to between 100,000 and 97K on the lower end. I think Mrs. Candles is spying on us here. I just heard the doorknob wiggle. But we are in a little bit of a pickle, so I want to break down the key levels with you guys and give you my overall context. Obviously, I am bullish here, and even locally here, guys. You know, we got the SFP of the low on Friday as we got that big push to the downside. I'm going to break down everything for the CandleMafia and hopefully clear some things up as best as I can. But I think just in general, guys, we are in a little bit of a hard situation here. But I am generally feeling pretty bullish here, even if we were to get the bigger pullback to 100K, guys. Things do seem pretty good, not only on the Bitcoin chart, but across all markets, right? The stock market we looked at last week as well, not really looking super bad. So I'm going to try to break down everything for you guys and give you my overall thoughts on the market so we can hopefully predict the next move on Bitcoin, although very, very difficult right now. I like to be very upfront, guys. When things are looking very, very certain in a direction, I try to be as decisive as possible, but it is definitely a little bit choppy out there with the signal. So we'll cover everything. Shout out to the CandleMafia. Thank you guys for tuning in. Smash that like button if you don't mind. Helps push us out into the algorithm, and it also helps you win some free crypto on our Friday night's live stream. So yeah, smash up that like button. If we get 1,000 likes on tonight's live stream, I will give away $150 in Solana to one lucky CandleMafia member on top of the crypto giveaways that we'll already be doing. But let's see. Shout out to CandleMafia's John Cena. What is going on? Said, buy the nonsense and sell the sanity. Let's go. Shout out to CandleMafia's John Cena. We got Crypto Owl in the chat. Said the greatest. Shout out to Crypto Owl. Welcome in. K Diggity in the chat. Phoebe says hi, bro. Let's see. Phoebe needs an emoji. Yeah, we got to get a Phoebe emoji. Shout out to Tony D. Can we make an emoji of the goat that screams? Do you know the screaming goat meme? If we can get an emoji of that, we'll just call her Phoebe. But shout out to K Diggity. Welcome in. We got Giga Longbottom in the chat. Base Bailey dropping those candles in the chat. Nirvana. What is going on? Said long-term bullish, short-term hungry. Let's go. Shout out to Nirvana. But let's see what the poll here says, guys. Tony D dropped it in. 97K are all-time highs. Oh, baby. It's 48% for the all-time highs incoming. And then 15% for definitely a pullback and stay in the range. And then we got 37% of everybody looking for that 97%. Hopefully not a 97% pullback, but that 97K pullback to our macro POC. And again, we do have some local levels before that we can look at as well, but we're going to have to look at it as price action develops. If we get the bullish signals down there, we can look for the bounce. If not, we're going to break everything down here on the charts. I'm not going to get too deep into it before we pull up the actual beautiful candlesticks here. Let's see. Shout out to Ozgun said, yes, goats, please give goat emojis. Shout out to Ozgun. Welcome in, bro. But yeah, we got Pennywise, everybody's favorite clown in the chat. Let's go, guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into this price action, guys, and show you some of the bullish signals and yeah, some of the not alarming things, but some of the things that might be stepping on that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Let's get into it. All right, so here we are, guys, on the Bitcoin chart, looking at our main range here, getting that big drop to the downside last week, and I will just go over this very briefly with you guys. As you know, right, when we came up to this macro 786, pulled from the high all the way to the low, this was kind of our big level that we needed to hold as support in order to get that aggressive squeeze up towards the all-time highs and potentially into new all-time highs. And then towards the end of the week last week, right, obviously we wound up getting the rejection here, getting that big drop to the downside, which was also beautifully signaled on the chart on Market Cipher B with our red dot printing on the daily and our 90-minute money flow crossover into the red. And when we pull up our range here, it was like, hey, we deviated above that volume profile, right? We rejected that 786, got back inside the range, and then we looked for that drop down, that continuation to the POC/value area low. We got that drop down last week, and I'm not going to lie, guys, we are in a super front-runny, like, it's just a very difficult environment, right? We get that drop down. We front run the 786 and the value area low, but we did get a liquidity sweep of this wick right down here. Let me pull up the 1 hour time frame here. We did get the SFP of this wick low here, but it was a high time frame SFP. Let me actually take that golden pocket off the chart here. And we did get this SFP on the higher time frames, and this is almost, I was talking to the premium Discord earlier today, this is almost the exact same situation as we had down here at about, with that dip down to about $100,300. Pretty crazy, right? Like, we had both of these long setups in the Discord from this SFP of the low and this SFP we were looking at here as well. They literally just keep setting up at the worst time. These both set up late at night. So I am not in either of these positions, although we did have the setups. I think I might, do I have it? No, I don't have it pulled up. Let me see here. I think this is it. Yeah. So we even talked about this on the live stream, talking about the liquidity that we saw sitting down here on the heat map with an honorable mention of a drop down here, an SFP of that wick low, a reclaim, and then a push back up, which could have potentially sent us into all-time highs. And I'm going to talk about why that might still be possible, but just a really difficult when it comes to the entry confirmations, we've been front-running key levels of support, and they've just been setting up at the worst time of the day. We don't even get any low time frame SFPs, right? If we got the 1 hour SFP here, it would have happened earlier in the day. I would have been able to catch that position, but that 4 hour candle closing literally at midnight, it's like I just keep missing these positions, unfortunately, even though we're just waiting for them. Literally the exact same situation as down here, but very nice to see that SFP of the wick here on top of the hold of support on our golden pocket Fibonacci retracement. Invisible fib here. All right, hang on one sec here. There we go. Golden pocket POC confluence here. And we also, if I pull up this older chart that we had from last week, let me actually pull this up real quick. Pull up that macro volume profile, which we are still paying attention to here. You guys know we had some key support down here, right? Not only did we have these fib levels, but we also had some daily MPOCs, and we really just melted right through those, ending in that swing failure pattern of that wick for the bounce to the upside. But when you look at this on a higher time frame, we came down to that support level, and we're holding above, which is a potential area to put in the higher lows before breaking structure to the upside. And when I say we are in a confusing situation here, guys, it has to do with, number one, the fact that Market Cipher B has the daily green dot printing, or what's, earlier today we had that printing, right? Making us anticipate higher prices. We also had some bullish CVD, which in the premium Discord made us anticipate that continuation to the upside on the live stream. We looked at the order flow and we were like, I'm not going to fight this right now. Let's look for the push up to the 786, and we wound up getting it. But it's very difficult here, right? Because we rejected that macro 786 with that weekly candle closure that we talked about last week. We closed that weekly candle below the 786. And if we are going to, let me pull it up over here. If we are going to put in that macro lower high, right, the structure could be calling for a lower high to come in, right? We closed that weekly candle down below, but then we got the SFP and a very strong bounce to the upside. So I will say, are we out of the woods just yet? I wouldn't say so. However, with the bullish signs on Market Cipher B, we might be able to scoot out of here. And I'm going to show those exact signals in just a minute. You can see here on the weekly, we did not print that red dot on the weekly, which will confirm the weekly bearish divergence if we do wind up getting that red dot with our higher highs on price action, lower highs on our momentum waves. And this could make us look for some kind of a pullback, not only with the bearish divergence and the red dot, but also the fact that, if you can't get back above that 786, this could be the area where you look for that lower high and a lower low. Not to mention that when we looked at this last week, we have our value area high. We got the bounce from almost the value area low, got back above the POC, pushed into the value area high where we have the local golden pocket 786 Fibonacci retracement. So this is another very, very close to that macro 786. The macro 786 is just up here at about, I believe, 109,500. Let me go ahead and pull that up real quick. It's sitting up here at about $109,500. So if we can get above these key levels, guys, we might be able to skirt on off towards that all-time high where we also have a lot of liquidity sitting. If we pull up that liquidation heat map, you guys can see it all here in that glory. Right here at about $111,000, we have that fat chunk of liquidity that, not only could act as a magnet for price, but also once we tap into it, we can get those liquidations to push price not only above this high, but also potentially targeting the all-time high, which is currently sitting at about $112,000, right? So when I look at the liquidity, I see those liquidations sitting up there. We know the liquidity acts as a magnet for price. We also have, like I said, the daily Market Cipher B green dot with the right here, right? And this is also not only a nice little trigger wave, but also you can see this VWAP is nice and rounded. This is oftentimes what you want to see for a big pop to the upside. Anytime you see kind of those inverted VWAPs on Market Cipher B, a lot of times what it does indicate is it's trying to come up for that green dot, but oftentimes it'll end up in a green dot with an immediate red dot, or a VWAP flop, as we like to call it, or sometimes you just wind up getting rejected at that zero line for a continuation down. But right here, we have this nice rounded VWAP, which I actually don't hate, with that trigger wave, the green dot, and the 90-minute money flow crossover into the green. Obviously indicating the continuation of the trend to the upside, right? Anytime you see that green dot on the daily, 90-minute money flow crosses over, you're going to be looking for the overall continuation of that trend to higher prices. However, we're coming into local resistance in an area where we could put in lower highs for a continuation down. And rejecting the macro 786 here, guys, obviously, as we talked about last week, does keep the door open, because if you're going to look at this, even on a daily time frame, right, high, low, potential lower high here, right, if we wind up coming back down, that lower high, low, lower high, potential opportunity to put in a lower low here into our next key level of support, which is going to be coming in at about $100,000, right? And I will pull that up right now just to show you guys exactly what I'm looking at. We have the golden pocket. We also have the anchored VWAP pulled all the way from the bottom of this downtrend, coming up through there. So we do have some confluence there. But I don't know how likely it is for us to come down there anymore, for the reason of having that green dot on the daily with the 90-minute money flow crossover. You guys also know my general long-term bias here. Even if we did get a pullback to $100 or even $97,000, let me get rid of some of this stuff here to clean up the chart. If we did wind up coming down to 100 to 97K, I am still bullish here, right? It would generally just mean that we're likely going to have just a little bit more turbulence before finally getting that big rip to the upside, right? So even if we did come down to that 97K level, I don't want to talk about this too much. I've talked about this so much recently. But even if we came down here, I am still bullish on Bitcoin. But with the higher low that we just put in here, guys, with the signs on Market Cipher B, with the SFP, and the fact that we put in a higher low here, this is pretty bullish, in my opinion, right? And all we have to do is skirt on top of this resistance level with the honorable mention of that macro 786 at 109.5. This does open the door to finally come up into those all-time highs once again. And it's super confusing, right? Because when you get a massive weekly rejection at a 786 like this, it is, opens up the door to the downtrend to continue. But now we're just seeing completely mixed signals here on Market Cipher B. In general, right now, I would say Market Cipher B looks pretty bullish, which just kind of adds to my general bullish bias here, with the exception of potentially getting resistance here at that local value area high. And if we do get the rejection here, right, maybe we come back up, we tap the 786, we wind up getting a little rejection, I will still be looking at this as long as our money flow on the 90-minute and even on time frames like the 4-hour money flow back in the green, taking a look at the 8-hour money flow back in the green here as well. So any pullbacks that we get here have to be viewed as lackluster for potential continuations to the upside, right? Because money flow is going to indicate the overall trend. It's okay to get little pullbacks, but the overall trend is going to be likely to continue to the upside. And I want to talk about some local key levels we have down here if we do get a pullback, where I'm going to be looking for those bounces to come in. But for the most part, we're tapping local resistance. If we're going to put in the local lower high, this is the area to do it at. And even if we deviate above, maybe reject the macro 786 again, but we kind of already got that rejection with a very, very strong bounce back to the upside. And then you start to pair this, right, with the fact that we have the 2-day money flow crossover into the green, which obviously, when now we have another green dot on the 2-day, another bullish sign. But as long as this money flow crossover on the 2-day stays in the green here, guys, even if we got another rotation down, right, like the overall trend continuation is to the upside. There's a lot of things pointing for more upside on Bitcoin. I would say if we reject here, maybe you put a higher low in, but if we reject here, right, like we really have some support down below. It's really not until we wind up coming down to 100K where the bigger pullback really comes into play again, right? Like up here, it seemed really likely, but with this strong bounce to the upside with the SFP of that low, it's kind of mixed, right? Like I have to say short term, right? Overall, I do think new all-time highs are coming soon, whether we have to wiggle around here, get another bigger pullback, take out this low, and then send it, or if we're just going to escape that bearish scenario and just send it right now. We are at those levels. When I say Bitcoin is at a decision-making moment, I mean it, right? Because we're at those last levels of resistance. Sure, it can knock us down, but if we get above those, move to the upside for sure. Now we see the Market Cipher B, green dot on the daily, 90-minute money flow crossover, 2-day green dot, and just generally the 2-day money flow crossover staying in the green here, which we all know with that monthly green dot here on our Heikinashi candles has historically been the signal that we needed to get the next leg up in the bull market. I'll cover this very, very briefly because I talked about it a lot last week, but every other time, right, I'll even pull it up over here, right, every other time that we've gotten the push back down below the bull market support band, 2-day money flow crosses over into the red, we get back above that bull market support band, money flow on the 2-day crosses into the green. With the monthly green dot, next leg to the upside, we get consolidation. We slip the bull market support band. Money flow on the 2-day is in the red. We get back above it. 2-day money flow crosses into the green. Monthly green dot, next leg to the upside. We start to go sideways. We dip below the bull market support band. Money flow on the 2-day crosses into the red. Money flow crosses back over into the green with a monthly green dot. It would indicate that it would make a lot of sense to see new all-time highs come in here. Now, really the difficult thing here is trying to figure out what is going to happen on these lower time frames. Like, are we going to go for that 97K pullback, which, by the way, that bull market support band, if we did come down there, would very likely come confluent with that 97K level, which is very nice. But overall, very high time frame bullish signals, right? So it's really just the local time frames that are very difficult to read right now. But I would say from a higher time frame perspective, sure, you have the weekly red dot looking to print, which is overall a bearish sign, but it just doesn't want to print, right? Like even over this weekend, we were about to print it on last Sunday, didn't get it, right? And then we were about to print it this weekend, and we just didn't get it. And overall, even if we did get it, another reason why I would still just anticipate a little bit more of a pullback before coming back into all-time highs is because look at your money flow. Your money flow is coming back up, showing people money is entering the asset, which is a very, very good sign long term. That red dots indicate, or red and green dots indicate the ebbs and flows in the market, right? Market moves in highs, lows, right? That's an uptrend. This is obviously a downtrend. The red and green dots, it would be red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot. That is what the dots indicate, but the money flow indicates the overall trend, right? So when we see money flow coming up like this, even if that weekly red dot prints, right, let's say we do get like a crazy dump to the downside out of nowhere, and we're like, oh my God, weekly red dot is now printing. Good Lord, what's going to happen? I would still be looking at that as a potential higher low scenario, even if we had to come down towards those lower levels. But locally, I'd say the market cipher looks pretty bullish here. Again, not only the daily green dot with the 90-minute money flow crossover, 4-hour money flow back in the green as well. So maybe that 4-hour red dot gives you a little bit of a pullback. And again, I'm going to go over those local levels of support in just a minute. But money flow stays to the upside, right? So red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, money flow crossing over into the green would indicate the overall trend will continue to the upside. So, my general bias is bullish. Locally, I'm kind of 50-50 here, guys. I'm not going to lie. It's very, 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 very difficult to read on the lower time frames because the structure calls for potential lower highs. Market cipher B looks bullish, though. And that low, I'm not going to lie, this SFP here is a very, very nice higher low, just barely front-running that value area low. Very confusing situation here. I mean, I can't remember when Bitcoin was in a situation like this where it's that hard to read on the lower time frames. But if I had to give a gut feeling here, not even a gut feeling, right? Just based off market cipher, based off the actual analysis, money flow is always going to be king, right? And even the daily money flow starting to get a big kickback to the upside here. Are we going to stay in this massive green money flow wave, or is it going to teeter out here? I would say locally, it looks pretty good. Get above this 786, we could start looking back towards all-time highs. If we get the correction, I'm totally fine with that. Really what I would want to hold above if we do get a correction here at this local resistance, right? This is not a place where I would necessarily ever look to take a long position. Could you long here and then it breaks into all-time highs? Absolutely. But as I say, every single live stream, right, there is never a case where I am longing giant bullish candles. Any of the setup, shout out to Mrs. Candles, and she's gone. She just cracked open the door, gave me the side eye, and then shut the door. But anytime we look at this, right, all our short setups in the Discord were from the all-time high, the retest of the all-time high. We are always looking for shorts at the highs as price is coming up. Never down here at the low. We have the long setup down here. We have the long setup down here. Never are we looking for long positions as price is coming up. That's just how we trade. And the reason for that is if you want a long here, right, where's your stop loss going to go, right? Again, could you gamble on a shot up to all-time high? Sure, right? Maybe it'll play out. It'll work out once in a while for you. And Bitcoin pushing up, baby, hitting that 786. There we go. Finally tapping that. Oh, almost. Front ran it once. Is it going to front run it again? Or are we going to tap it here? Come on, Bitcoin. Come on. Man, Bitcoin at the decision moment here. Are we going to see the breakout live here, guys? Are we going to see the breakout live? That would be absolutely legendary. But when we look at this, if you take a long position here, right, the reason I don't take longs here, even if my directional bias is to the upside, where's your stop loss going to go, right? It's pretty much if you're looking at this time frame, your stop loss is going to go all the way down here. Even down here is especially when you're longing directly into resistance, it's a very difficult situation, guys. It's that is not the best risk to reward, right? Even if you're targeting all-time highs, it's a very large stop loss, and that's why I always say we never long on giant green candles like that. Again, could it shoot up? Absolutely, but it's not really a sound trade setup in my own personal opinion. So when you see that, if we get the pullback, right, what am I going to be looking at on the way down? Well, first off, our value area high is going to be our first big level of resistance, right? It is sitting at about $107,700. So again, if money flow is going to be calling for higher lows and higher highs, right? Maybe you come down, test that value area high, put in the higher low for the higher high to come in. If we break down below there, we have two important anchored VWAPs to watch. If we pull it from the low here, as well as this one from the high at about $111,000 or 110.7, right? We're already above that one. But if we do come back down, you would want to hold this anchored VWAP as support. That's coming in at about 107,000. And then as price comes down, if we do get the pullback, right, this anchored VWAP is obviously going to move up, probably getting confluent with about $106,000. And the reason I would actually like this is because if we pull our fixed range volume profile here real quick, it is going to be very confluent with this value area high. This would be a key level to hold on top of, right? So especially if that anchored VWAP is confluent. So any pullbacks that we get, right, I'm going to be pretty all right holding support on top of 107, right, 107, call it 107.1, all the way down to about $106,000. And then, honorable mention here, obviously we have the full golden pocket 786 retracement from the low to the high. This is always going to be a key level to look at. And on that level as well, sitting at about 105.1, we also do have a weekly NPOC sitting in the confluence with that level as well. So even if we get the pullbacks here, guys, we have a lot of local support that could continue that aggressive uptrend. And again, it's very, very hard to call. I'd like to be, when the signals are clear on market cipher, when the signals are clear on the chart, it makes for a very high probability move. But right now, it's I would say the structure calls for a potential lower high. We're just at resistance. I can't long inside resistance. I can only look for short positions. But any shorts are going to be looked at as scalps until proven otherwise because of the money flow. Does that make sense? Money flow indicates the ebbs and flows are going to continue making higher lows and higher highs, continuing the uptrend, but it doesn't mean you can't pull back from local resistance. And it's so hard, right? Because when I come on these live streams, it's are you bullish or bearish? I am bullish, right? Again, Market cipher B looks bullish right now, and on top of the fact that we have the high time frame bullish signals printing as well. But it's like we're coming into resistance, right? And I know sometimes new people come in here, they don't understand how we look at the charts, how we trade, right? I am a trader, so when I come to resistance, I'm looking for shorts. When I come to support, I'm looking for longs. So, some people say, I thought you were bullish. Why are we pulling back? It's like, well, that's just how the market moves, right? It's all about context. A pullback like this is okay. A pullback like this is okay. A pullback like that is okay, right? So, yeah, I would say like one of the most difficult and tricky situations that we've been in on Bitcoin in a while, trying to call for a high probability move. But the nice thing is with the bullish signs, guys, hopefully we could just scam out of here and go to all-time highs. That would be absolutely beautiful. It would be very good for the altcoins as well. We'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance in just a minute. Let's see. Money flow indicates the overall trend. Shout out to New Earth Guardian. Absolutely 100%. Hugo said he hit the like button. Let's go. Smash that like button. If you guys want new all-time highs on Bitcoin, smash that dang like button. But yeah, right now it's just we're literally in a pickle, right? If we're going to reject, this is generally the zone where you would expect it to come in at. If we're going to get above it, it's calling for all-time highs. So literally, like we're right at that line in the sand. And any pullbacks, right, depending on what market cipher B looks like, if all the money flow tanks tomorrow and it all looks bearish, right, maybe we're not going to take those longs, right? I'm only going to take the longs on these higher lows if we get the actual confirmation signals. If not, we'll simply probably be holding a short from up here, just enjoying that drop to the downside. So, yeah, like it was looking pretty bearish on Friday, guys, getting that rejection from the weekly, dumping down to the value area low. But with the SFP and this strong bounce to the upside, we might be able to escape this situation very similarly to down here, right? Same thing. We were looking for the drop down to this value area low, saying like, hey, doors open, market structure is bearish, right? High, low, lower, high, lower, low, lower, high, lower, low. The possibility of getting that continuation to the downside was 100% in the cards, but nope, Bitcoin SFPs the lows and gets that launch to the upside. And you do not want to fade Bitcoin when it gets in that, when it starts rearing its horns and, just starts to pump to the upside. So I am simply playing this level to level. We're at resistance. I can only look for shorts here based off my trading rules. And if we just fly, we will just let that come to the upside. Shout out to anybody who took the long there in the Discord. I am personally not long, unfortunately. But, if we do get that move to the upside, we'll just wait for those next setups, right? There's always opportunities on the shorts or for the positions every single day, right? You're going to look for new positions every single day. And, we just wait for those key levels to get tapped. And right now, it's like if we don't reject here, it's like you just got to let that thing go to the upside. I cannot long here, even if we think we're going back up, right? Because over time, the discipline and the high probability setups are going to make you more money over time. Gambling on buying into massive pumps, you're just longing into resistance. I can't do that personally. As an actual trader with like strategies and risk management rules, that's just not how you make money over time. And there are times where I anticipate higher prices and I don't long it, right? Because I can't just long into resistance. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Very, 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 very tricky situation right now. If you're learning how to trade right now, I said this to the Discord earlier today. If you're learning how to trade right now, we are in front run city, and more often than not, we get better confirmations. Like all these lows have only really had one bullish confirmation, which is nice, right? Because that shows what's bad. It's not nice because it doesn't give you the confident entry triggers, but it kind of shows that Bitcoin is, showing strength here, right? And then you pair that with the money flow, the 2-day green dot with the monthly green, 2-day money flow crossover with the monthly green dot, and the fact that that is almost every single other time triggered the next leg to the upside. We saw it happen here. We saw it happen here. We even saw it happen all the way back here. And it's the same thing on the altcoins as well. Ethereum showing very, very similar signals. But for me personally, I am playing this thing level to level. Let's see. Yo, shout out to New Earth says, I was actually going to add to my long position, but I fell asleep during Asian session. Shout out to New Earth. Dang it. Dang sleep. Sleep has messed me up on my long entries as well. Let's see. Pump up like that liquidity. Shout out to New Earth. Let's get it, baby. Let's see. If the buyers hold 108.4 with a 4-hour candle close, then probably going to 110.8 to take that liquidity. Yeah, shout out to James Agger. Shout out to James. Now, another local range that I will show you guys is something we've been looking at all last week as well, right? Once you reclaim this value area low, well, let me just actually break this down step by step, right? So last week we got the drop to the low. Any push to the upside, that major resistance level, if we got that bounce here, was going to be between the golden pocket and the 786. Here we are. The direction, the TA, the levels are playing out very technically. It's really just the entry triggers that are a little bit fuzzy, at least on the moves to the downside. But here we are in that resistance level. We break above here, right? Once we got above this value area high, When you take the larger range off the chart, you pull up your local upper range. It's like, hey, you rejected the low. You got back into the range. We were talking about this in the Discord earlier today. It's like, well, now that we're living above this value area low, it's like the next likely place for price to go is going to be that point of control based off the laws of the volume profile. Price likes to seek fair value. We had fair value up here previously. We broke down. Then when we reapproach, you're looking to flip that value area low, making the next high probability target the POC of the range. Get above that POC. Not only are you getting above the 786, which is directly confluent with that point of control, right? This is another level of confluence on that resistance, is the fact that you have that 786 sitting right there as well. Come on. Got a little rejection at the golden pocket, but once we pushed up above that golden pocket, you're anticipating the 786. Once you get above the value area low, you're expecting the POC. So you have two main things making you look up towards that point of control as the next target. And here we are, sitting literally right at that level. Well, kind of, right? We came up and tapped that level perfectly. So, if we get above $109,000, right, we flip this POC, the next place for price to likely go in that case is going to be the value area high. And if you make it up to that value area high, it's like, well, hey, not only are you above the 786 locally, you're also above the macro 786, which is what was opening up the doorway to 97K anyway. And now you're above all that resistance, and it does open up a potential opportunity to shoot up towards those all-time highs. We also have the liquidity that we just looked at on the chart, sitting above the local highs here at about $110,600, right? It's probably going to act as a magnet for price. So I would say, like, sure, if you get above here, you can go up to the value area high. Maybe, within a volume profile, you're always going to be, entertaining the idea of bearish confirmations above the value area high in case you do want to just rotate back down into the range towards the POC or even the value area low. But at that point, you're kind of above all the resistance, right? Which could open up. And then if you sweep this liquidity, it does seem to be, if you see, there's a lot of liquidity up here, guys. So when you sweep into this liquidity and you stop out those short positions, it's going to create market buy orders, right? That is what gives you those big liquidation wicks, which if you do get that, that's where you start to see that squeezy motion to the upside. And there's really nothing above us other than pretty much our all-time high, right? We pull up the daily MPOCs. It's like you have one daily MPOC up there. Maybe you get like a little like intraday trade opportunity up there for a short. But again, just overall, I would say things look pretty decent. And if we escape that drop down to 97K, that's even better, right? But I just can't confidently say until we get over these levels that I'm like fully confident in those all-time highs. You have the market cipher B bullish setups. You have the bullish market structure here now putting in the higher low on that liquidity sweep. This is a very nice bullish daily reversal candle. It's a bullish hammer candle. We just got to get above this resistance. So I would say generally I feel pretty good. If we get the crazy rejection from these resistance levels, it won't be super shocking, but it's really hard to just like short against a daily green dot with the 90-minute money flow crossover. This almost every single time indicates a significant move to the upside. Last green dot that we had below the zero line here, or last green dot in general, if we pull up the 90-minute money flow, was also accompanied by that crossover into the green. What happens? You cross into the green, higher lows and higher highs to come, right? So that's what makes me feel bullish. You are coming up to resistance, so just be very, very careful. Just because I'm bullish here does not mean you can't get the local pullbacks. And yeah, that is pretty much what we're looking at, guys. The key levels to the downside are going to remain between, value area low 107.1, right? And then just underneath that, you have the value area high of our previous local range down here, getting closer to about $106,000. Those are the two major levels I'll look at. If we break down into the range, we can look down towards the golden pocket. But to be honest, I got to wait to see if we get that pullback. I'm going to be assessing price action. I don't really... Very easily, right, because of the context with the market structure, potentially putting in the lower highs, we're going to need the signals to take the long positions, because if we don't have them, right, like maybe the bigger pullback is in store. So just simply being patient here, guys. Sometimes the best thing to do is sit on your hands and wait for the higher probability setups to present themselves. Let's see. Shout out to James said, shout out to Frankie. Bang on in my book as usual. Cheers. Shout out to James. Yeah, let's go, baby. So yeah, you said I think 108.5. Very, very close to the levels that I'm looking at as well, bro. Shout out to K Diggity said, unfortunately, I have a day job, but I buy things all day, so it kind of works. Shout out to K Diggity. If we get a rate cut, it's game on. Yeah, shout out to Sergeant Squid. Yeah, I would agree with that too, right? Like, we're at that point where, this is part of the big reason why I do fall in the camp, guys, that even if we got the bigger pullback, all-time highs are still coming. It's just generally based off the fact that, like, a lot of people, when we see this weekly bear div potentially forming, a lot of people are like, dude, we have a weekly bear div, like, isn't that what happened last cycle, right? Like, doesn't this look exactly, you guys remember this if you watch the live stream, people saying like, doesn't this look exactly like the previous high that we made on the all-time highs last cycle? And it's like, well, yeah, it does look just like that. We have the liquidity sweep of the highs. We have the bearish divergence on the weekly, which is not printing yet, but could print soon. You look at that and you're just saying to yourself, like, sure, it looks the same, but just because you had that same topping structure does not mean it's the all-time high topping structure, right? It could just be a local high, right, before putting in a higher low and a higher high, right? And on top of that, it's like if we were seeing this after we got rate cuts, after we saw alt season, after we've seen all the things that have happened in previous cycles play out exactly like they did last time, I'd be a little bit more bearish on that weekly bear div, right? But because we have not gotten rate cuts yet, you could easily, if you do get a bigger pullback, right, you could push on down here, and then you're looking for, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we're down at 84K. It's going to zero bear market, rate cuts, boom, right? And the technical invalidation, in my opinion here, for the, for a higher low not to come in on the much higher time frames like the weekly is going to be the golden pocket 786 down here in the 80s. So if things got really scary, which I'm not anticipating as of right now, we obviously have all the 97K level, the 100K level. We have tons of big support before this. But even if you saw like some kind of black swan bring you down all the way here, it's like all it takes is rate cuts. And then you get that big explosion to the upside, which is part of the reason why my main bias is to the upside long term here. I've not sold any of my spot Bitcoin bags. It's like, it's so funny. Like every time we get a dump of about 5% or more, a dump or a pump of 5% more, that's where people start to get very emotional. You pump 5%, people are like, oh my God, that's it, bull market's on. Then they get rejected 5%. They're like, oh my God, bear market, right? But overall, understanding this larger structure here, guys, like this is very strong, very, very strong uptrend. And again, those higher time frame market cipher B signals, like just show it once again, guys. Like I even marked this out, right? Like every time you dip below, and I'm going to start coining this a new CandleMafia bull market by the dip setup. Just like we have the weekly money flow crossovers into the red that call for buying the bottom of the bear market. If you guys have been here for a long time, we did this, right? Get the drop in, money flow crosses into the red. You get the first dump down. This is where you want a dollar cost average into the market. Historically, weekly money flow crossovers into the red on the weekly indicate a great time to be buying the bottom for the next bull market to come in. Same thing back here. I show this almost every live stream because I think it's important and a very simple signal for new people to look at. Money flow crosses over into the red on the weekly, buy the dip, right, or buy the bear market, and then you get the new bull market to come in, right? If you bought down here, you bought the bottom of the bear market. If you bought down here, weekly money flow in the red, bottom of the bear into the bull, bottom of the bear into the bull. Sure, we had a black swan here, but again, that would have been the worst time to short, would have been the worst time to sell your bag because you were on your way into those massive new all-time highs. Same thing here, buy the bottom, send it into a new all-time high. And then also, when we look at the 2-day here with the monthly green dots, every time we dip below that bull market support band after the bottom comes in, 2-day money flow in the red, below the bull market support band, flip it to support, money flow crossover into the green, monthly green dot, next leg up. Consolidation, dip below the support band, 2-day money flow in the red, buy the dip, flip the support band, money flow crosses into the green, monthly green dot, next leg up. Then we consolidate again. It's literally the same thing. Consolidate, dip below, money flow crossover green dot, next leg up. Consolidate, dip below, money flow crossover into the green, monthly green dot, next leg up. Consolidate, dip below the support band, money flow in the red, crosses back over into the green, monthly green dot. Are we going to get it? Are we going to get it? I think it is definitely going to be repeating. It would be history repeating itself for sure. And it doesn't always repeat itself. Oftentimes it rhymes. It doesn't mean we necessarily, again, if we can't get above those 786 levels, maybe we have to go back for a little bit more of a retracement. But that still would hold true of holding above that support band and, eventually getting that monthly green dot to confirm money flow crossover into the 2-day still could be in the cards. You might have a little bit more turbulence on the way. Hopefully this is the case, guys. I think like everybody is sick of the altcoins dumping. Bitcoin's been going, I know we got the big dump and the big pump here, but overall it's like, since November of 2024, we'll say, you hit near these all-time highs, you go sideways for a while, little drop down. Now we're just kind of sitting in this range. I think everybody's ready for like Bitcoin's next big move. Hopefully not to the downside, hopefully to the upside. Hopefully this TA plays out. If not, again, I'm prepared for a bigger pullback if we get it. But, right now we have a lot of things on the chart potentially pointing towards a breakout. So this might be something if you guys stick around till next cycle, hopefully we go into new all-time highs before the next cycle. But, in the bull markets, this might be a new thing that we look at to potentially buy the dips in the bull market, right? Everybody gets super scared. Oh, my God, is this the bear market? Not in my opinion. No rate cuts, no alt season. Cyclically, it makes sense to get a bigger pullback within the bull market, right? 32% pullback in a bull market's not unheard of. 32%, another 32%, not unheard of in a bull market. And then again, you have that money flow across. I don't know. It does not, take that for what it's worth, guys. Take that for what it's worth. Nothing's 100% guaranteed. This is never financial advice. Could you dump down into a bear market from here? Sure, anything is possible. But, based off the TA, based off the fact that we haven't gotten rate cuts, they are very likely coming soon, right? It's very hard to tell exactly when they're going to start, but there are signs that we could be seeing that come in soon, and that's all we really need to see this thing go full-blown Bitcoin bull market, right? We've obviously been in a bull market for quite some time here in a massive uptrend, but hopefully we could see the pump. We could see the altcoins come in, give us the alt season. And remember, guys, the alt season typically comes towards the end of the cycle. So keep this in mind. I was telling the premium Discord earlier today. Keep this in mind. If Bitcoin does get the bigger breakout long term, that's where everything gets exciting. That's where the altcoins start to run. And this is where retail starts to enter the market. And people think it's up only. They think they caught the bull market early. But really what is going on there is alt season is really the start of the end. More often than not, we see the alt season come in at the end of the cycle. It's like Bitcoin's big blow off top. Liquidity flows into the altcoins, you get the alt season, and then that's basically a wrap. So when it gets super bullish up there, if we get that big push up, it's going to be green candles, green thumbnails, up only forever, 500K, $1 million incoming. But just understand, we have major targets to the upside between 120 and 137K is the next major target I'll be looking at. Above that, we have 155K. Can we go up there? Absolutely. But if we get bearish signs between 120 and 137K, just keep in mind, that is when the market is going to be the most bullish. It's going to be the hardest to take profit on your Bitcoin as you're pushing into those all-time highs. This is where everyone starts calling for higher prices. Everyone wanted 100K last cycle. We didn't even get close, right? This is where it's like, oh my God, we're never going back down. We're back, baby. We're so back. Boom, bear market. So just getting you guys prepared, and I'll be here to guide you guys every single step of the way. Not financial advice, of course, just educating you guys on the charts and letting you know what the indicators are saying, what the charts are saying, what the market structure is saying. But we'll see what happens, right? If there's signs at 137K to send us up to 209, that's the next target to the upside after 155. Like, we'll see, right? But if we get those bearish signals up there after the rate cuts, after the altcoins start flying, that's going to be a little bit more, bear market territory or full cycle top territory, in my opinion, right? If we don't get the signals, we'll look higher. If so, we'll be flashing the warning signals here on the Frank Candles YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our important updates or daily live stream. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Dude, I saw your chat in the beginning of the stream saying, Frankie the type of guy to put a blanket over his laptop when it goes into sleep mode. Shout out to Vegas Claw. Let's see. Shout out to Vincent, said, you bulls are delusional. We are in a retracement. Alt season already happened. I mean, it's not really what Bitcoin dominance says. But, I mean, listen, I am never going to be someone that's going to be like, if you think the cycle's over, you're 100% wrong. There's 0% chance that the cycle's over. As someone who's been reading these charts for nearly a decade, I know for a fact that the markets will humble you. But again, at the end of the day, it's like alt season's never going to happen. Alt season's never going to happen. And then rate cuts come in. And then people who think alt season already happened, those rate cuts come. Very likely you're going to see the altcoins run, right? Where you're going to see you're going to see a lot of stuff run if that happens, right? Now, will the rate cuts never come? I don't fall in that camp. But if they don't come, then maybe we do go into a bear market, right? But that is not necessarily. I do think as long as, as I say all the time, rate cuts are. That's one of the conditions that we have not seen met this cycle yet that calls for the alt season. Now, when is that going to happen? Everybody likes to call for like a time, right, or a date or a month. You could try to ballpark that, but it's not like, a lot of people thought February, right? Why was I not calling for it in February? Well, we were getting back into our upper volume profile on dominance, right? That's typically bullish, right? I know we're not looking at a price chart here, but it's typically bullish for your candles, we'll call it, for a push up to that POC. That's why I did not anticipate alt season in February. Sure, maybe other people were looking at that, and maybe they would have been right? But when the charts tell you you're getting accepted into an upper volume profile, the next likely target is that POC, and we avoided that disaster, right? Because that would have been a very, very bad time to get into altcoins. So right now, looking at Bitcoin dominance, 786 at about 64.72%. This is still, we're attempting to reject this level. Now, here's the bad news, right? I'm not saying that all season's starting today or tomorrow. Again, we need the rate cuts to come in. If we don't get them, it's going to get delayed longer, in my opinion. If we get a black swan event, you bet your bottom dollar, we're going to see some kind of a flash crash. That's going to apply to altcoins as well. But, getting get above this 786, guys. This is the box that you need to reject. It is the golden pocket 786 of this move to the downside. If you want to put in a lower high and a lower low, breaking structure to the downside here towards that value area low of the range, I wouldn't say this is going to start cause alt season. Maybe you see like some sort of end alt season, but really to see real alt season come in here. And I know it's not a fan favorite, every time I look at this stuff and I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, if we're getting in here, I'm not looking for alt season. I know it's not the popular thing to say. I know people don't like to hear it, but I'm really glad that I just stick to my guns here and stick to the information. The chart is the truth 90% of the time, right? Maybe that's a little aggressive, maybe like 80% of the time. But, once we get the breakdown of this value area low, that is where we're probably going to see the alt start to fly. And rejecting this local 786 would be, if we can do it, would be the start of a potential move down to the value area low, which would be very nice. It's very similar to what you saw happen here, right? You come down, you start playing with the POC, you go to the value area low. Maybe the alt rallied a little bit here, but at the end of the day, you could bing bong around here. It's like pump, dump, pump, dump, pump, dump. But when you see your money flow on the daily coming into the red on Bitcoin dominance, it's like, well, hey, if I'm looking for this range to either break to the upside or the downside, which obviously breaking to the downside would be good for alt season, you could see that money flow crossing into the red was the early indication. It doesn't start alt season, right, necessarily, because you can get the turbulence. But overall, you're looking for the breakdown of that value area low, and that is oftentimes where you'll see the altcoins run. So it's the same thing here. This is your local level you want to reject. If we can get back down below that POC, head down towards that value area low, maybe the alts start to run pretty aggressively. But then once you start breaking down out of this range, that's where you would expect a much bigger drop to the downside, or at least that's what I'm looking at because it's worked in the past, right? And then we look at the daily money flow. You can see we're not in the red yet, but we are trending to the downside here. Now, the caveat is if we flip on top of this 786, it opens the door to come up to 66.21%, which indeed would not be good for alt season. Right? So, it's an if this, then that situation. Hopefully, we can reject here. We've tried to reject it once. We tried to reject it twice. Are we going to flip above it? We'll see. We'll have to see how the weekly candles close around this zone. But again, you reclaim that 786. You're going to be looking up towards that next 786, which is sitting at 66.21%. Not good for altcoins. Good for altcoins. Not necessarily instant alt season, right? You have to have some patience. You might come down there, the alts run, and then we get the bounce, and the alts start to dump a little bit, and be like, what the heck? Alt season's a scam. But you could easily bing bong around here until you finally drop out of that value area low. So we'll keep an eye here on the Bitcoin dominance. We've been playing around with these levels for quite a while, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this. But yeah, I think if you get the rate cuts, that's your best chance at alt season. Maybe alt season never comes this cycle. But it does seem to be all lining up, right? Towards the end of the cycle, it's when you start to see stuff run. It's like when people start losing hope in alt season. Alt season, if you think alt season already happened and you think like this was alt season, maybe. I don't know. Definitely possible. But yeah, I don't know. You get those rate cuts. People are going to want to be buying those altcoins. I'll just tell you that much. But let's see. Shout out to Crypto Billy. What is going on? We need an edit button. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Welcome in, bro. Edit button on the chat. Let me know. Shout out to Crypto Billy. Welcome in, bro. We got Rob the Crypto Snob in the chat, guys. Show our mod some love in the chat if you love him as much as we do. Let's see. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Says, if it walks like a bearish pennant and quakes like a bearish pennant, it's probably a duck. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. I would 100% agree with that analysis. Let's see. Yeah, shout out to James. Says bullish, keep patient. Yeah, 100%. Most people get into crypto and they just want everything to come up. I would argue if you think we had alt season, I would argue maybe you had like a meme alt season. But again, it's really the rate cuts, right? If we had rate cuts and we had the meme coin, the Solana meme coin trench seasons, and all that liquidity went into the meme coins and none of the other utility alts pumped, and we had the rate cuts come in, then it would be much more bearish. But it's, when you're potentially about to get those rate cuts, not necessarily the time, in my opinion, to look for alt season to never come. But yeah, how could WW3 impact altcoins? Shout out to Thomas. It could absolutely destroy them, right? But again, looking back at previous black swans, right? It's like we had a black swan here. Was that the time to sell the low? No. Now, this was a different point in the cycle. Let's be honest, right? It's a totally different point in the cycle. It's not just like a one-to-one comparison. But, yeah, I mean, especially with the WW3, not WWE. Shout out to CandleMafia's John Cena. But, WW3 situation, typically, I think there's a chart. Tony D, if you could find that chart, it shows like when those events happen. I don't want to say it. I don't know if YouTube likes that, if the algorithm likes that, but typically you get a flash crash, right? And then it always results in a continuation up, right? Rate cut rates, send it to the upside. Now, even taking a look at the SPY here, guys, as well, just looking at other things, not just crypto, massive bullish candle here. Not to mention the fact that, when we came back up here, we were looking at a reclaim of this value area low. We get back in the range, you deviate back below, you get back inside. POC is the next target. And then, as we hold above this point of control, technically the next target here for the SPY would be sitting up here at about 608. So yeah, like we haven't even filled this profile in full yet. Do you have to? Not necessarily. Trading is never 100% certainty. But yeah, I would just say, like, even if you get the bigger pullback, like you really have to dump in order to see this stuff just completely flip around. And it is really funny, like when people say that like everything is bearish. Now, obviously it looks bullish until it's not, but like very clear uptrend here, guys, like very clear. And hopefully coming on these live streams during the massive dumps, even calling for the massive dumps before they come in by understanding where liquidity lies in the market, understanding where your key Fibonacci levels are, where you're likely to put in higher lows and higher highs, right, which we did do here. A lot of people were like, what the heck is this guy talking about? He's bullish. Like, we just dumped. This is where you want to get bullish. You don't want to get bullish up here. We shorted 104 and 102K in the Discord, got the move to the downside, and then had long setups down here at the low, right? It's not the fact that, when you come down, I know it's bearish, right? This is bearish, right? This is a downtrend. But it doesn't mean that's where, after you get the move down, like this is not where you want to be shorting, right? So, it's really on the pushes to the upside. So you kind of have to like adjust your psychology to understand that like pushes to the upside, even though they are bullish, is not necessarily the best time to buy. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe we go into a bear market, right? I can't rule out that situation. But for me personally, the rate cuts will likely send us higher. Let's see. Yo, shout out to Inner Circle Gangsta. Shout out to you, bro. ICG in the chat. He says, rate is not getting cut. The Fed will just cut so we can have a bull run. The economy is fine. Stimulus is not needed, and Powell won't cut for no good reason. That is probably true. We'll not just cut so we have a bull market. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. They're not just like, hey, Bitcoin, we have to keep up with the Bitcoin cycle. We have to give them the bull run. But yeah, I mean, listen, if they don't cut rates, that's going to be something that's a condition that we've had met every time for alt season, right? So if we don't cut rates, maybe we don't. I mean, I think they will come at some point, right? Will they come at the next meeting? Who knows? But, I do think they will come eventually. And when they do come, whether it has to be more pain and then we get the cuts or, it really depends. But if we don't get the cuts, right, like that's going to be not great for altcoins, in my opinion. If we do get the cuts, which have not happened yet, and I do think will come eventually, that would be very good for altcoins. But there's no way to say exactly what we're gonna do. It's impossible. I wish it wasn't. I wish it was possible. Let's see. Shout out to D Knight. Says a bear market again? Nah, nobody's got time for that. Shout out to D Knight. Let's see. Shout out to Kristen. Said, Frankie, would you be willing to share your thoughts on Peak? Yeah, we could take a look at Peak. We will be taking a look at the altcoins as well, guys. So if you want to see your favorite altcoins, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Rob the Crypto Sample count with the votes and let us know what we're looking at. Rob, let's do like 3 requests. I'll cover some of the big boys and then we'll do some requests. But let's see here. Bada boom, bada bing. There you go. Rejection at the POC 786. There you go. What's going on, Perry? Welcome in, bro. Welcome in. Let's see. Rate cuts will come later this year for sure, though. Yeah, shout out to Thomas. They're going to come at some point, right? They're probably going to come at some point. That's my thought. All right, so yeah, let's... shout out to the Vegas call. Frankie, the ladies are asking for calves. We'll show some calves. We'll show some calves in a minute. But yeah, let's drop those altcoins in the chat. I'm going to start off with Ethereum or Erythrium, as your grandmother might call it. And then we'll jump into like XRP, Solana, and then we'll do the requests. Just bear with me here. I'm on the bat phone. Bat phone is ringing. Okay, so let's continue on here. Why the sudden drop now? Shout out to Sonny. Well, if you ask me, shout out to the beginning of the live stream. This is your last key level of support. Resistance, right? This is the last key level of resistance that we would have the opportunity to put in that lower high, right? Push in, barely tapped that POC 786. This is why we look at things as zones, POC 786, and you get the drop to the downside. So we'll see. Maybe we got that continued correction. Our in the premium Discord, right, the invalidations for the short positions, right? Not that I'm saying you should short now right down here, but as we looked at this zone, right, like the overall invalidation for these shorts is right above the 786. So if we dump here, might have got protected there. But we'll see what happens. We'll keep an eye on. Maybe we get some development here on the live stream. Hopefully. What just happened? Oh God, I'll be honest with you. Shout out to my calves are pumped today. I was late because I went for a 13-mile evening cycle. Shout out to Hugo's. Dang, bro. I got to get a bike, bro. Riding bikes is fun. I rode mad bikes. I was a big bike rider during the C19 event with literally nothing else to do but look at charts and ride bikes. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Sausage red candle. But so yeah, somebody said, did we get news? Was there news? It would be, I will tell you, can someone let me know if we got any bearish news? We did. Not paying attention, but like not based off the news at all. Just looking at the technical level, wouldn't it be weird if we get the dump from the exact technical level off of some news, right? It's like we didn't know if the news was going to happen, right? But we know the technical level is there. I'm not saying that's why the news was released or anything like that, but it is just funny more often on the charts. And I don't even know if we did get the news. But if we got some crazy news, it's like, wouldn't that be funny if that comes in right at the POC 786, right before the invalidation of the shorts? Would be pretty wild. Let's see. Oh, Trump's last warning. No way. Okay, well, there you go, guys. Show me the charts. Live example. Show me the charts. I'll tell you the news. Right here. Beginning of the stream, no news. Key level of resistance. Potential rejections. Cannot long into resistance. Drop to the downside. Lines up with the news. Again, I'm not saying the news isn't real. I'm not saying they're making up the news because of the Bitcoin chart by any means. That's obviously psychotic to think. But more often than not, if you look at the charts, a lot of the technical signals line up with news. It's pretty wild. Shout out to BTC Nation says, Aerodrome, please. I thought that said adrenochrome, please. Good Lord. Manipulation, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, this time is serious. Shout out to Nirvana. Yeah, I mean, listen, like I said, guys, I don't ever want to like underplay some real things going on in the world. But historically, a lot of the time, guys, it is just interesting. A lot of these WW3 type events is like, not saying it's manipulation, but it's just crazy how things work out, right? So, for example, I mean, now that we got a little movement here on Bitcoin, we could talk about this a little bit longer before we jump into the alts. But it's like, get back into this value area. We can look for those local levels of support to the downside that we just talked about in the beginning of the stream. But if this winds up being some kind of a black swan event, I think I literally said that in the beginning of the stream. If I did, I'm going to clip that and literally dress up like a fortune teller for the next live stream. But like if we get some kind of a black swan event here, you could, the doorway until we get above that 786, the doorway to the bigger drop down is open. Does that make me super bearish for the bear market? Not necessarily. I actually talked about, potential black swan coming in, right? And then rate cuts coming in, and then, you don't want to be selling at the wrong time. But we'll see. Again, I'm not undermining anything serious going on in the world. It's obviously all real. But, any other black swan, right? This was also a very real thing that was happening. People were actually locked in their house. People were actually getting sick. But what happens, right? Still the worst time to sell. Honestly, one of the best times to buy. Bitcoin gave you one last chance to buy if you missed the bottom of the bear market. Now, if that situation were to happen now, it would look something like this, which is not necessarily in my cards. Now, that would be a very, very, very bad situation. But we're in a different spot here, right? This is a different point in the market. We were not into new all-time highs when this black swan happened. So, now we're much higher. So a black swan would likely not bring us all the way back down to those lows, in my opinion. Shout out to Rob the Crypto. I'll pin my next comment. Shout out to Rob. Thank you so much, bro. I appreciate you. We will go ahead and not put you in timeout, but we will go ahead and replace the pinned comment. Will my fart coin have any utility after the world collapses? Shout out to Thomas. Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, listen, meme coins, I would honestly say Farcoin's one of like I don't know if I would consider it a blue chip meme coin, but I think it might be on the way. Again, meme coins are going to be a little bit harder to have long-term conviction in, but, Dogecoin's been around for a long time. Those higher market cap alts, Bonk, stuff like this is, I wouldn't consider those complete degenerate gambles, rather than something that just came out in the Solana trenches with a $100,000 market cap, right? Very, very risky situation. Buying something like Dogecoin or Pepe or something like that is, not the same thing as when I talk about like high risk meme coins. All right, let's see. Shout out to Cryptides. Just closed my short right before the drop. Shout out to you, bro. Yeah, I hope I did not get stopped out here. I'm not logged into Femex right now, though. Let me check that real quick. No, actually, no, I didn't get stopped out. I got my invalidation above the 786. I'm clean. I'm clean here. Got pretty close, though. I'm not too far above that 786. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens. But retesting that value area high, the macro range, I'm going to call this the macro range now. Typically, when I refer to the macro range, guys, I am talking about the larger range. But locally here, this is our higher time frame volume profile, right? And again, just treating this as a typical volume profile. Deviate above the high. Lose the value area high. You could start your correction back down towards the POC, lose the POC, go to the low, etc. That's your high probability volume profile trade. But again, depending on how this all shakes out, again, we just got news. We'll see. Crazy. There's the invalidation. That would be insane, guys. If we wind up getting the bigger dump down towards 197K from here, all hail technical analysis. All hail technical analysis. But yeah, let's continue on here. Yo, Crypto Anon in the chat said, yo, what's up, brother? Hope all's well. Shout out to Crypto Anon. Welcome in. Glad to see you with the blue name, bro. I swear, I might be tripping. It might be your new profile picture that threw me off, but I'm pretty sure, I'm almost positive, bro. If you came in the other day, you came into the chat the other day, I swear your name was not blue anymore. And I was like, what the heck? But then you chatted again, you were blue. I was like, okay, I don't know what the heck that was. Also, I think YouTube's tripping. Shout out to Based Bailey. Based Bailey got hidden. His chats got hidden like 3 times on Friday, and no one hid his chats. It's super weird. So shout out to Based Bailey. You were not in trouble. You didn't say anything bad. I think it was just dropping like candles and sauce cans in the chat. For some reason, it banned it. Let's see. Shout out to Inner Circle Gangsters. Did y'all long? Heck no. Heck no. Like I said, if you scrub back to the beginning of the stream, right here, could you long here and it yeets onto all-time highs? Absolutely. Is this a place I would ever take a long position? Absolutely not. Only shorts to be had. Only shorts. Could that have been wrong? Maybe. This would be absolutely lit if we can get just chart-wise, right? Like, I'm not happy about any bearish news that we saw. But, we'll be lit if we can get the dump to the downside. For the rejection of our key resistance level. If you go back to the live stream last week, right, it's like, hey, if we get back up to the value area high, that's the place to put in the lower high. That does open the door to continue down to 97 to 100K. That's why the title here is literally Bitcoin at a tipping point, 97K or all-time highs. So for the all-time highs, you got to get literally above that exact level here, right? For 97K, I would say this would be a good start to put in the lower high if we're going to go ahead and continue the downtrend. That would be the place to do it at. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Glad it's blue. Shout out to Crypto Anon. That would be, we'd have to like file a lawsuit against YouTube if they took it away for some reason. But anyway, let's see. Long at resistance, short at support, right, Frankie? Shout out to Tony Roaz. It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's what most people think. Shout out to Tony Roaz. I know you know better, bro. But yeah, no, obviously, definitely not what you want to be doing. This only happens as soon as I open a 50K plus position every time. Shout out to Cash Oak. Let's see. Shout out to Jessica in the chat. What is going on, Jessica? Good to see you in here. Did I say 197K? That is not what I meant to say. I meant to say 97K. Shout out to Pankaj. Wow, what a moment. Short ETH right before 2680 resistance. 100% trade within 20 minutes. Let's go. Shout out to Pankaj. I don't know how to say that, bro. Apologize. Trump post dumping things. Okay. All right. Let's see. Has been a lot of manipulation. It's like Trump tweet, boom, right? Or, wherever it is, right? It's like Trump tweet, boom. Trump tweet, boom. Trump tweet, boom. Like, crazy. Manipulation is insane. But let's go ahead and continue on here. I will keep a alert here in case we see a further jump to the downside. But just in general here, guys, again, value area high. Get stuck underneath here. Doorway is open to the POC, although we do have local support down here, as I covered in the beginning of the stream. If you're just tuning in, just scrub to the beginning of the stream to not only see us fortune tell, but also see those local levels that I'm looking at. But, in the more bearish case, get stuck below the value area high. POC is the next likely target. Lose the POC down to the value area low. Understanding where your local support is, right? If we come down to these key support levels, right, maybe we dump into tomorrow. If we wind up getting stuck in here, maybe we hold it as support too. That's not impossible. But if we get stuck in here, pull down to our key levels of support, and then money flow still looks good on the higher time frames. And even if we get that drop down to 97K, like I said, I still remain long-term bullish. So yeah. Shout out to Eyes2C, says y'all expecting new all-time highs. With these, I'm not going to say that out loud because I don't know if YouTube likes it. Videos on Twitter happening now. Shout out to Eyes. Obviously, that would be bearish short term, right? Or medium term even, right? Like if we got to drop down to 97K, right? That could take some time to get down there. And I want to be clear here, guys. It's not just 100K. It's not just 97K. And again, I've been talking about this forever. This macro volume profile, right? We're still above it right now. But if we get stuck under the macro value area high, that 97K is the point of control of that range. That's why that's such a big level. But if we even lose this and come down to the value area low, this could be an even saucier level to get a bounce off of, right? This is still potentially holding higher lows for higher highs. If it looks like garbage down there, well, we could hold the shorts from the high. If it looks good, then we'll look to hedge with long positions, and maybe when rate cuts come in, right, all it takes is rate cuts. Just scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I already went over all of this, but yeah, like my plan, I'm just sticking to my plan here. This is exactly, yeah, I mean, we're kind of just right on time here. Long term, it's like, are you going to yeet onto all-time highs, or are you going to get the bigger corrections, right? Both are in the cards here. If this news is going to be super, super bad, right, maybe you get the bigger correction. Maybe it dumps us into a bear market, right? But for me personally, we still have a lot of big levels down below. I've been looking at these charts for a very long time, and there's bearish news, bullish news. I know it can get very scary, but typically the charts are the truth. Let's jump on into Ethereum now, and thank you for the alt list, Rob. Let's take a look here, and yo, you can't make it up. You can't make it up. I'm not going to lie. I think, obviously I pay attention to the news, but I never trade the news. But, just to show here, right, on Ethereum, what did we look at last week? I've not touched this chart since the live stream last week. We got the drop down to our golden pocket. Our anchored VWAP daily MPOC value area low. Again, you're looking for shorts above the value area high, longs below the low. Same exact thing on Ethereum. I mean, on Bitcoin. Simply looking for longs at the low, shorts at the highs, longs at the low, even though you got front ran, you got the SFP, shorts at the highs, right? Same old, right? Volume profiles typically prevail. Sometimes they get front ran slightly, but more often than not, you do see them play out. Same thing on Ethereum, right? Deviate below the low, back into the range, back to the low one more time after rejecting the POC, but you stay inside, back to the high. Deviation above, back to the POC, back to the low, back to the high, back to the low, back to the high, deviation, back to the high, deviation, back to low, deviation, back to the high. And then this was that key resistance level that we looked at. Just like we have the support down here at the value area high, anchored VWAP daily MPOC value area low, nice and confluent. That sent you back up to the POC, the POC and the value area high of the range in context, or confluence rather, with the golden pocket and the 786. Where are you getting the rejection? Right from that level. If we continue down, value area low is still your next key level of support. I'm going to take this daily MPOC off the chart just because it's already been tapped, labeled T, MPOC for tapped. You still have the anchored VWAP in confluence of that value area low, so I'm going to keep that kind of support zone right there. If you break down below this anchored VWAP, you're going to be looking down towards the POC at 2320. That's your next key level of support, right? Maybe you get another rotation of this range, which would be absolutely insane. I've been saying, like, this range being so well respected for so long, it's like the more it plays out, it's like, is it going to happen again? Is it going to happen again? But definitely key support down here, value area low, anchored VWAP confluence. Lose the anchored VWAP, I'd be looking for the bigger drop down to about 2320. This is a key level of support. If we lose that POC, I'd be looking down to the value area low, golden pocket. This is still a support level. Right? This is a local, I don't want to say local, but this is a significant golden pocket, value area low confluence, or value area low of the range, the most important level within your profile right now to the downside. Stay above the value area low. If we got bullish confirmations here, you could put in a higher low and a higher high. Overall, could continue the move to the upside. It's not until we lose this range where it starts to get a bit more bearish, right? Even below the golden pocket, maybe you get a bigger breakdown. 786 daily MPOC sitting between about 1980 all the way down to about 1940. Even something like that, right? Once you start losing this, then we can look down to some lower levels. I really don't want to lose this consolidation down here around 1700, right? Once you start losing that, technically you have some extra key levels down lower. But again, we have such a long way to go there. Like, we'll have to analyze price as we come in here, right? Like, the charts look like trash. We're not going to be looking for longs, right? And again, never looking for longs at the high, right? So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Marley. He says, anybody can list the value held of any asset if not valued in fiat. How do you determine the value? Shout out to Marley. I'm not 100% sure what that question is asking. If you clarify, I'll try to give you some insight. Let's see. Do you pull the anchored VWAPs from swing highs and swing lows? Shout out to Tony Rojas. Yes, that is exactly where I have them pulled from, right? So even on Ethereum, right, this massive anchored VWAP is, let me hide some of these. I got every level turned on here, so let me turn some of these off. I'll even turn off all this local stuff. Put that in a new folder, right? So just looking at this volume profile, right, if I were to look for the major anchored VWAP, I'm just pulling it from the swing high, right? So pulling it from this high, right? Actually, I think this is the high. Right? So there's your anchored VWAP. Once you get above the value area low, you're expecting the POC of the range. Get above the POC. This is what opens up the door to potentially come up to the value area high. Not that you can't have noise happen in here, right? Back to the POC, potentially back to the low. But overall, you could anticipate the value area high to come in over the long term. But this anchored VWAP is a huge level to hold, right? Because this could indicate that you're going to get a big trend change. Once you flip above this, right? So, well, hey, maybe you're going to continue that trend to the upside. Same thing on Bitcoin. If you watch my anchored VWAP tutorial that I posted, I think like a couple weeks ago, I think it was a couple weeks ago. I show you exactly where I pulled the anchored VWAPs from, why, how to use them to call big changes of trend in the market, as well as how to use them to find sniper entries into lower time frame trades or day trades, stuff like that. So go check that video. Shout out to Tony D. If you could drop the anchored VWAP tutorial in the chat, just to give them a link, go check that out, right? It's the same thing that we looked at on Bitcoin's massive dump to the downside. Everyone thinks it's the bear market. Oh my God, it's never going back up. How could you be bullish down here? Well, very simply put, we had the signals. I won't go over them because I cover them almost all the time. But this major anchored VWAP from the high, right, is a huge level to flip. Once you flip that, it's like, well, hey, maybe we're going from a massive downtrend and changing trends to a big uptrend, looking for new all-time highs. You literally get exactly above that anchored VWAP, and even on a lower time frame, you get above it, you flip it to support, and off to the races, right? So it's the same thing for Ethereum. Hopefully, now it doesn't mean you can't lose it. If you lose it, it's like, well, hey, that would be more bearish. But again, you do still have the key volume profile levels. I always compare it to this area of price action here, right? You get above the low, straight to the POC. That's the next likely place for price to go. You hit it, you bing bong around, back to the low. Oh my God, we're rejecting, right? But you still stay within the profile. You get back up, and eventually you do get that continuation to the upside. So you could definitely get noise in here, even if it means you have to kind of play around with that value area low a little bit. Or even deviate slightly under it. But again, we'll assess that if and when we get there, right? Let's see. Shout out to Eugene Sky. Said my Solana short position got liquidated. I didn't know I had a position. Shout out to Eugene Sky. I'd literally be lying to you if that has never happened to me. God, the pain of like logging into your account and being like, why is my balance so low? And then it's like liquidation. It's like, what the heck? I thought I had a stop loss set. That has happened to me before. It's also happened to me on the opposite end of the spectrum where I forget I had a position open and I check it and it's in the green. I get very lucky with that sometimes. Hasn't happened in a while, but okay, so let's continue on here. Thanks, the anchored VWAP is fire. Yeah, absolutely. One of the big tools that I like to use. And again, you can use this on any time frame. But that's what I'm looking at for Ethereum here. We're still just wiggling around in this range. Once we lose it, POC down to 2320. Underneath that, $2,100 value area low is your next key level in confluence with the golden pocket down there. Actually, let's pull the anchored VWAP from the low and see where that's pulling up. Very close to that golden pocket. Also might become confluent with that point of control if we have to come back down there. So 2 clear anchored VWAPs that I would be watching. So there you go. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. What do we got on the list here? H-Bar, ADA, and Onyx. I'm going to work backwards here. Oh, actually, we'll take a look at ADA real quick because we took a look at this on the live stream earlier with the premium Discord. And, yeah, here we are, man. Just pull this golden pocket back up. All right, take it back off. So, yeah, key levels on a Cardano. You're still within your profile here. Back down towards that value area low. Lower lows on your price action. You did, at the time we were looking at it with the premium, you did have a daily bullish divergence printing, which is now unprinted. It's not invalidated. You could still potentially come back up and print it. But right now, we had the green dot. That would mean the bullish divergence is printing. But as it's now not printing anymore, if we get a massive dump to the downside, maybe it does invalidate. But if we do continue down here, you do have some other key levels to look at. Let's pull up the daily MPOC. So we do still have a daily MPOC down here at about 60 cents, right? I mean, this whole zone really sitting between, call it, come on, 61 to 56 cents, right? We front ran the value area low. We came back up. We finally came back down and tapped it. It just goes to show how oftentimes when you front run a value area low, you do come down and tap it. It kind of reminds me, not that we have to come back down here, but it does kind of remind me of that front run of our value area low down here. Do you want to come back down and visit that? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how serious that news wants to be. Yeah, I would say between about 61 and 56 cents, that's your next key level of support. I mean, value area low, daily MPOC. Daily MPOC comes in at 60 cents. 786 of your fib retracement. Let me go ahead and pull that golden pocket back up, right? You come down, you hold the golden pocket, but what do? You put in a lower high and a lower low. Daily bull div, if it was still printing down here, would look really good. It's not confirmed, or it's not even printing anymore. But maybe if we push down here, daily MPOC 786, you have another daily MPOC at about 56 cents. You can come down and play with this zone, right? Once you start losing that 786, I'd be okay with a wick down to the daily MPOC. But if you get stuck under that 786, I think it's more likely to come down and sweep the low here at about 51 cents. If you come down and maybe you get the bullish divergences to finally form here on the daily, right, into this zone, that could be looked at for a move to the upside, flip the value area low, maybe you continue through your profile. It's really going to depend on what Bitcoin does, right? If Bitcoin goes down to 97K, we could easily come back down here or, potentially even break the lows, right? But as it stands, we are still within our profile. If we break down, I'd be looking at the daily MPOC 60 cents, 786 58 cents, and then the daily MPOC down here at 56 cents. This is a big zone. And, even if we do have to kind of wiggle around here a little bit, could still put in another daily bullish divergence, right? It just might be messy. But once you wind up losing this, it's like, oh, man, you really want to reclaim that 786 to get the bigger move up. If not, you might want to come down and take that low at 51 cents. Taking a look at the higher time frames, weekly VWAP is just below the 0 line. So you don't have like a fresh weekly red dot printing on Cardano. No fresh weekly. No fresh 6-day red dot. You have the green money flow looking to cross over into the green. So we'll slowly move around. Maybe this crosses back over into the red. But just trying to find some clues here. Yeah, 4-day money flow crossover into the red, 3 days in the red, 2-day, Again, I do think on the altcoins, guys, the 2-day money flow crossover, very similar to the Bitcoin signal with the 2-day money flow crossover, monthly green dot being the long-term bullish signal. This 2-day money flow crossover, oftentimes, I show this every live stream. 2-day money flow crossover. Wait, what happened? We're dumping. I thought this was bullish, right? Eventually, you wind up getting that crossover. You spend a lot of time in the red here. You fake out into the green, fake out into the red, back into the green. Big move up. 2-day money flow crossover. Big move up, higher low, big move up. All right, 2-day money flow crossovers are typically very strong for altcoins. And Bitcoin, right? Big leg up, comes back into the red, big leg up when it crosses back into the green. So I do think one of the biggest things to look at on a lot of the altcoins is going to be when you really want to see those big moves to the upside, that 2-day money flow crossover into the green could be it, right? And if you come down and put another daily bull div in and, the world doesn't go to garbage and, everything, Bitcoin breaks back below 97K or 100K, obviously that would be making us look lower. But, this is definitely your next local level of support. So, and the line in the sand to come down, break that low. So that's what I'd be looking at for Cardanzo. Let's see. Trying to get back into the game. Shout out to Jessica. Well, you're in the right place, Jessica. Welcome back. We're happy to have you here. Shout out to Jessica. Asia either goes below 105K tonight or up to 110K. The occasional gambler. Yeah, we'll see what Asia decides to do when it wakes up. Even looking at the Bitcoin chart here, it's like, even if we are just going to come in, put higher lows and higher highs, if you guys want my overall context, scrub back to the beginning of the stream. I cover everything. But looking here, you do have 2-hour red dot printing. Money flows crossing into the green, right, which is generally good, unless that news steps on it. 4-hour red dot, potentially, it's not that close, but, it's VWAP. If it continues down, that 4-hour red dot would indicate a pullback, right? But money flow being in the green is going to indicate that overall trend. So we'll see what happens here. Come on, Asia. Come on. Save us, Asia. Save us. I'll sacrifice getting stopped out of a short to get this thing to pump to the upside. Link, yeah, shout out to Alessio. We could try to take a look at Link, no problemo. I'll write that down over here as an honorable mention. We took a look at ADA. We'll take a look at H-bar now. Actually, this is funny. These are the same coins that the premium was asking for earlier today, or some of the same ones. And I did the same thing where I tried to find my H-bar chart and had to look for it for a minute. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Okay, so let's take a look here on H-bar. So you deviated above the high, just to give context here, right? Deviation above, get back into your range, reject the high. POC is the next likely stop. Lose the POC, value area low. Tapped it. Came back down for the 8-hour bullish divergences that we looked for back here on a lot of altcoins. Look for the lower lows on price into the value area low for a potential retracement back to the upside, or a potential fulfill the range, right? We didn't get it, but could have turned out being that way. But you still get a significant little 16% pump to the upside. Plenty to make some money on a little day trade. But we got the rejection at the anchored VWAP. We came down, put in a new low. Let's see that daily. Yeah, this is another, we had a lot of daily bull divs here printing on H-bar, coming up to that key level of resistance. You got to get above that value area low for that daily bull div to be strong, or like give you that big move that you would expect from a daily bull div. It is not printing anymore, unfortunately, as we rejected the resistance. And we also talked about the front run of this weekly MPOC in 786. We barely front ran those levels. So I would say if you did come back down here a little bit more, you do have that support here at the weekly MPOC 786 sitting between 14 and 14 cents, I'll call it, right? Weekly MPOC and the 786. If you did, again, maybe you wiggle around here, but if you are able to kind of print that daily bullish divergence, that is something to look for down there. You could also take a look at something like the 12-hour. Let's see the 4-hour. Yeah, maybe even a 4-hour bull div as well, right? If you come on down here, put in a higher low, that is definitely your next key level of support. If you lose it, if you lose this level, I'll be quite honest with you, this is the full fib retracement. Come on. Let me see this is your full golden pocket 786, right? So once you lose your golden pocket, you're anticipating the 786 to come in, right? We bounced off the golden pocket, which was confluent with the value area low with the 8-hour bullish divergences. You get the bounce, you come back down, you lose this golden pocket. Could be anticipating that 786 only because it was front ran here. So yeah, that's definitely your next key level. If you lose this, you might be coming down to take the lows. Because if you're going to look to put in a higher low, this would be the area to do it on. Once you lose it, you could look for a crack of market structure there at about 12.5 cents. Again, that could be Bitcoin getting a massive jump to the downside. If Bitcoin holds up, maybe we can continue up, right? Biggest level of resistance to get above right now for H-bar is going to 100% be the value area low, sitting right here at about 16 cents. Get above that. You could look to push up towards your point of control of the range, which in that case, right, if you come up there right now, you have the golden pocket confluent with the POC. This is an area between the golden pocket 786 POC. This is an area you could put in a lower high and a lower low. I don't like to short in the middle of a range, but when you have context like that with the golden pocket, it does make it a possible lower high. So again, if you come down first, say you put in another low here, you're going to have to drag this fib down to that low, which would put you perfect confluence with that POC. So right now, key level to the upside, break above 16 cents. You could be looking up towards 16 or 17 cents with that golden pocket confluence. But again, with that daily bull div now gone, right, we would still need that daily bull div to print. It is now unprinted. So if it prints again, maybe you can get back above. If not, I'd be looking down here. So that is what I'd be looking at on H-bar. Taking a look at the higher time frames, actually. Yeah, no weekly bull div here. VWAP below the 0 line. Check the 3-day. 3-day money flow in the red. 4-day money flow coming out. Yeah, we'll see. Don't hold that 786. I'm looking lower. Underneath this low, let's take a look at what we got here, right? See if I have any MPOCs down there, something that's higher time frame. No monthly MPOC. You know, we held support on this monthly naked point of control, which is not bad. Weekly MPOC, no. Daily MPOCs, yeah, you got a daily MPOC down there. But again, like contextually, structure-wise, losing that 786 would be a bit more bearish in my opinion. So honorable mention, you do have a daily MPOC down here. But again, at that point, you're longing into the loss of the 786. But, you know, this is worth looking at. 13 cents, 0.136. But hopefully you could just hold that 786 because, again, structurally, you lose that 786, you're looking to crack that low anyway, right? So maybe you get a short-term bounce there. The overall anticipation would be to break that low. If you lose the 786, you could hold it, right? Trying to be as clear as possible here. Let's see. Bada boom, bada bing. Let's see. All right, so we took a look at ADA, H-bar, ETH. We have XRP and Solana. We look at those almost every day, so I'm going to look at those last if we have time because my thoughts haven't really changed too much on those. XRP is right on plan. We literally got the bounce where we wanted it. Solana also bouncing off key support. But let's take a look at Onyx. I don't think I have a chart on this. Ugh, yeah, this chart's kind of wonked. Doesn't mean it's bad. Right? When I say this chart looks like garbage, sometimes I mean bearish. I just mean like this is hard to, you know, got the infamous, never mind. Let's see here. All right, well, you still have the daily bull div here on Onyx. See, weekly VWAP coming up. Money flow coming to the downside, though. This could come back up, but right now, weekly money flow is trending down. 4-day money flow trending down. 3-day money flow crossing into the red. So, you know, if you get a bounce here based off that 3-day money flow, unless it skirts back into the green, your overall money flow here on the 3-day would be looked at as a lower high and a lower low, potentially. Let's take a look at the 2-day money flow in the red. Yeah, daily money flow coming back out here as well. So, you know, you could continue to bounce locally here. I would have to just pull this as a volume profile. So these would be levels to watch above. So your value area low sits at about 0.017, POC at 0.018, and then the value area high is at about 2 cents. Just looking at this without paying attention to context, what you always want to do is just, you know, money flow is not very confluent here. If we had money flow cracking into the green with the daily bull div, that would be very nice because it would not only indicate that the daily bullish divergence can give you a bounce, but the money flow crossing into the green would also make you indicate to you that the uptrend would likely continue, getting you back into your volume profile and filling that value to the upside. However, daily money flow is coming out. 3-day money flow is crossing into the red. 2-day green dot is printing, but money flow is in the red. So I would have to say, you could look for a continuation up here. Again, assuming that, you know, Bitcoin, if Bitcoin dumps, obviously this will likely follow. But let's pull some fibs here. Let's pull it from the high to the low locally. So I'll give you some resistance levels here. Confluence on the golden pocket golden pocket POC. Confluence on the somewhat confluence here. Value area high 786. And then as always, that value area low is going to be resistance until proven otherwise. So if these green dots on the higher time frames, that daily bull div gives you the continuation up. You know, this is your big level of resistance to get above. Flip this, you could look to come up in here. But again, with money flow, if that 3-day green dot prints and you get a push to the upside, that money flow crossover into the red would make you, if that's still in the red, it would make you anticipate lower highs and lower lows. So you just got to be careful of that. And again, keeping an eye on Bitcoin as well. If Bitcoin dumps, these things are likely to follow this bull div on the daily. The 3-day green dot is not going to mean as much if you have Bitcoin absolutely tanking. And I mean, I would even say, let me pull this anchored VWAP real quick. Yeah, if you come back up here, that anchored VWAP might be confluence with the value area low. So yeah, I would just look at this as like a pretty much a typical volume profile situation, right? Even put a little resistance zone right here, right? You don't really have a confluence, at least on the fib levels. Probably a local fib level is confluent with that. Let's pull it from this lower high, this lower high. Yeah, these would be the levels I would look at, right? 1, 2, 3. Basically, the value area low, the POC, and the value area high are key levels of resistance. And the reason the value area low and the POC are important is because it is an area where you could put in a lower high and a lower low. And based off money flow on the higher time frames, that is possible to continue the downtrend. So hopefully that makes sense. That's what I'd be looking at on Onyx. So there you go. Overall, kind of a wonky chart here. Just like a slow grind down. Massive pop-up. Slow grind down. Yeah. Not that it looks bearish. Not that that's like a bad thing, but it's just, I don't know. It looks a little weird. So there you go. Dogecoin. We could try to take a look at Dogecoin. Shout out to Sounds. Yo, shout out to Yeti Boy Vlogs. Of course there's a meme coin for Yeti Boy Vlogs. Insane. All right, so let's see here. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. My alts are bleeding out. Shout out to Music Tags. I feel the pain, bro. I feel the pain. But yeah, let's see. We took a look at Onyx, ADA, HBAR, ETH, XRP. Always on Mondays and Fridays when I have the premium live stream, I always forget. We did not look at XRP here, I don't think, today. We looked at it in the premium live stream. Somebody stopped me if we already looked at XRP. I don't think we did, though. But as you guys know, looking at XRP, what was the key level we wanted to hold? Somebody tell me. Other than the value area low, right? It's obviously key support. But when we have the full fill of the range, volume profiles are king. Flip the low, next likely stop is POC. Flip the POC, next likely stop is value area high. Bearish confirmations at the high, get accepted back in, next likely stop is the POC. Get stuck under the POC, next likely stop is the value area low. We front run it, we come up, we finally tap it with the bullish divergences on many time frames, in this case the 4 hour with money flow coming up, right? We get the push to the upside. To continue our trend through the volume profile, we wanted to hold a very specific level, and that level was the golden pocket. Come on. The golden pocket. Come on. 786. Fibonacci retracement. Where did we put the low in? Right on that level. Right? If we lost that 786, we were looking down towards the macro golden pocket / value area low confluence sitting right down here, but we held the higher low. Couldn't make the higher high. Could not crack that, really could not crack that wick. We got the perfect rejection at that wick. But at this moment, right, like for the fill of the volume profile, you hold the low, right? You front run the value area low. Technically within the profile, the next stop would be the POC of the range at 241. Assuming that the Bitcoin doesn't go to zero, right? If Bitcoin goes down to 9,700K, obviously these are going to follow, in which case the key level of resistance or support remains the same. $2 at the golden pocket, or between, I would say, $2 and 206. Value area low, golden pocket confluence. But right now, we held the Fibonacci retracement for the higher low, high, or low, high, higher low. Can we get the higher high? If you do, the POC is going to be the next target at 240, and then maybe we see the full rotation of that range. Flip that POC, go up to the value area high. If everything continues to dump, still the key level of support. Not much to update here on XRP. We looked at this level last week. We got the push down. We held it as support. We got the push back up. We continue down. This is still the key level of support. Taking a look at the weekly. Weekly VWAP, headed towards that zero line, looking for the green dot. 6-day, looking for the green dot. I don't love the inversion on this VWAP, though, right? Typically, you like to see those VWAPs be fat and curvy to the upside, or like, kind of like protruding like that. This oftentimes will indicate a lackluster bounce before a lower high, which could be happening. Let me see where that lower high is. Let's pull some fibs here. Yeah, so we're hitting that golden pocket. Yeah, POC is definitely the next target to the upside if you break above this golden pocket. But technically, if you're going to continue this local... Yeah, I would say the POC would be your next target to the upside. If you break down here, lose that 786, still value area low. Within the context of the profile, though, right? Again, if the news is not as crazy as they're saying, again, I don't know exactly what the news was, but if it is going to be more bearish, right? Still just looking down here. Other than that, though, we did put in the higher low at the 786, which does make the next upper target 240. Be careful around that, though. Yeah, because this could be, right, if things are going to get more bearish, right, that could be a big level to reject. So, yeah, we'll see what happens here on XRP, but really nothing to update there. We just got the higher low where we were looking for it. But if we continue down, levels remain the same. If we continue up, the levels remain the same pretty much as well. So there you go. Locally, we do have the, VWAP coming down on the 4-hour. You know, red dots could pull you back. Maybe the news turns it a little bit more extreme, but, yeah, 4-hour red dot, you know, not possible to continue down there. But, again, key level to hold here still would be, in my opinion, as long as you don't break down below that 786, I think you could continue up. Break down below, bada boom. That's what I'd be looking at on XRP. All right, let's see. I'll try to take a look at Dogecoin. I'll try to take a look at Link as well. Shout out to Wick589 said, couldn't convince Frankie to go with Mukbang, but I'm glad he was okay with dog appreciation. Shout out to Wick589. I am always a fan of dog appreciation. If you have a dog, give he or she a nice little pat on the head and go, good boy. Good boy. Give him the head pat. And they're like, oh, what are you doing to me? Shout out to all the dogs out there. But anyway, let's see. Shout out to Marley said, you should quit your job because you don't know how to provide food or shelter without the intermediary of money. Shout out to Marley. I actually own one of the largest farms on the East Coast, so I actually do grow my. I'm just kidding. I don't think that was in reference to me. But yeah, let's see. Bitcoin Cash. We could take a look at Bitcoin Cash. Oh, Peak. Let's take a quick look at Peak. Shout out to Kristen. Let's take a look here. Where's our Peak chart? Which one is our Peak chart? Go on to a higher time frame. That's not it. Could have sworn it was the MEXC chart. Actually, you know what I'll do? Oh, it is the KuCoin chart. All right. That's because we had the most history on that. All right, so Peak. Oh, man, I do hold some Peak. It's not my biggest bag by any means. But, yeah, this thing is chopping down. Let's take a look at the daily here. Yeah, daily bull. No bull div on the daily here. It's more of it's a little bit of a bull div. You know, again, context is going to be king. Money flow is coming out here. And this is a pretty local bullish divergence, right? Like, this isn't like some extreme bull div. This is somewhat local. Yeah, I tried to give you the push up. I mean, listen, if Bitcoin continues to dump, the altcoins are very likely to follow, guys. So just obviously keep that in mind. But you do have your 3-day green dot looking to print, your 2-day green dot printing. This can all get stepped on if Bitcoin dumps. 5-day, 6-day, weekly. Yeah, I mean, all I can really do here, as I don't have any price action to look left on, all I can really do is call for the moves or call the levels to the upside, right? Which is still going to remain the value area low. Also, still your doorway to higher prices sitting here at about 10 cents. So, you know, again, you're in a very clear downtrend here, right? So you're going to have to like really get the move up. But, you know, your key level to the upside remains 10 cents. If you break structure to the downside once again, the only thing I can really do here is, let me see if I can pull. Yeah, maybe 6 cents. Let me pull this as well. I'm going to see if I can get any confluence on any of these zones. Yeah, I would say like this zone right down here. Just get rid of some of these now. Yeah, all I can really do is look at the extension zones. You know, could be on your way to the 7 to 6 cent level. We're at 8 cents right now. If you break down below this local 786 at about 0.076, you could be headed down here. These two blue numbers, that is that zone. Honorable, you know, you could also go down to the bottom of that level. Usually I like to separate these extension levels into the first two levels, but this does technically bring you all the way down to about 0.063. This is the only way I can really find support there because there's no price action to pull from the left, right? So I have to look at these extension levels. And you do have a bunch of levels in here. And, you know, these are kind of self-fulfilling prophecies. It's like, you know, if other traders are looking at this, that's typically what gives it the reaction. So, yeah, if you do continue down, that is what I'd be looking at. Money flow coming out aggressively on the daily. You do have the bull div confirmed, but again, you've already gotten the bounce to the upside, and I wouldn't even really necessarily say that is the strongest bullish divergence I've ever seen. So I'd say, line in the sand here, lose 0.076. I'd be looking down to this zone here on peak. So there you go. Let's see. Shout out to Dave Digital, said, I know dangerous skills, with a peach and a emoji. Shout out to Dave Digital. He'll clear out a room. I'm telling you. I've never met Dave Digital in real life, but sometimes you can smell him through the screen. If he's eating that protein, after going to the gym, dang. Shout out to Dave Digital dropping the in the chat. Let's see. I have a dream where 15 goat emojis blanket Frankie's emoji selection. Shout out to Tony D. I don't know if he heard. Maybe he's working on it. I don't know if he heard, or there is already a goat emoji in the chat. But yeah, shout out to Tony D. He might not know what goat I'm talking about. Let's see. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob, said Dave Digital knows my dangerous skills too, right, D? Oh God, shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Wow, shout out to Marley saying don't pay your mortgage. I don't know the context of this conversation going on in chat, but I don't know. I was actually talking to Tony D about this with all the crazy news going on, and I'll just give my 2 cents on this. It's like a lot of that kind of sentiment was going, and like, listen, maybe this is totally different. It totally could be. I'm not saying it has to be the same thing. A lot of people were thinking that kind of stuff here. It's like, oh, the world's going to pot. It's, oh my God, it's all over. It's all over. Or I don't have to pay my bills anymore. A lot of people were like scamming the business loans here, thinking that like it didn't matter. A lot of those people got in trouble. Yeah, like during that time, it was like a lot of people thought that stuff was going on too. But like, what happens after enough time passes? It's like everybody goes back to work. You still got to pay your taxes. Now, granted, this could be a much more dangerous situation, but yeah, crazy time to be alive. I wish I was a fortune teller. But yeah, let's see. Dave Digital's a G. Shout out to Trey Flip Jones. Let's go, baby. Shout out to Dave Digital. Which goat per se? Shout out to Tony D. There's a meme of a screaming goat. Or like, that gif of like the goat just like sticking its tongue out. It's just like blah, 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 blah. A funny goat, a funny looking goat, preferably with the floppy ear, like huge floppy ears. Find a funny goat emoji. I trust you. All right, what do you think of Sui? We could try to take a look at Sui. Let me just make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Shout out to XRP Belgium. What is going on, bro? Thank you for the super chat. Said, can you overlap the charts with the local liquidity chart? It's overlapping now, and when the feds acknowledge the I assume that's supposed to say stablecoin. Shout out to XRP Belgium. I don't know if I'm gonna have time to do that today. I'll try. If not, we'll try to do it maybe tomorrow. But yeah, shout out to XRP Belgium. I'll try to get that done today. We might have to try to do it tomorrow. Or maybe I can try to do like a macro update, like a Bitcoin deep dive soon as well. Maybe I could bring it in on that. But yeah, shout out to Kilgannon. Thank you for the super chat. Did we just watch BTC SFP? Trump giveth and Trump taketh away. Did we just witness Bitcoin SFP? Well, yes, locally, you did absolutely see a little bit of an SFP here. Wick above, closure down below. Boop. Even on a 15-minute. Might have even had this on the lower time frames as that was an aggressive. Yeah, this was 100%. Shout out to Kilgannon. This is 100% a swing failure pattern. Excuse me. Wick above, candle closure down below, drop to the downside. Well, you don't need the drop to the downside for it to be an SFP, but it was a successful SFP with the wick above, candle closure down below, and then there you go. You see the drop to the downside. So yes, absolutely. Shout out to Kilgannon. Thank you for the super chat. Shout out to XRP Belgium. Thank you for the super chat. So yeah, there you go. SFP. Simple candlestick pattern. Not all SFPs are created equal, but that is definitely a swing failure pattern. All right, let's continue on here. Bada boom, bada bing. Shout out to Alan. Said, Frankie, you are kind of a fortune teller. Shout out to Alan. We've talked about Black Swan events many times in the past, questioning what is, back in the day, right? Like even like way back, talking about the situation that we might be seeing right now, being a black swan event. Obviously, timing of this stuff is very difficult. But yeah, that'd be crazy. If we see that happen, my main predictions were massive blackout or WW3. So yeah, it's that'll be crazy. Let's see. Rob is the GOAT skin collector. Shout out to Wig589. What is going on in chat? Bitcoin gets a pump and a dump, and you guys are talking about skin collectors. Good Lord. Let's see. Limited edition crystal ball available soon in the merch shop. Shout out to K Diggity. They are coming soon. And yeah, they will help you see into the future, not only for trading, but in life. Okay, so let's see. Shout out to Hugo says it may have gotten overvalued, but it still flowed a lot of value into the local area, which was used to build bigger and better infrastructure all over Europe. Shout out to Hugo. So I don't know what that's in reference to. But let's see here. Shout out to Dremmer says Black Swan, Black Rooster. Let's go. All right, let's continue on here. Let's take a quick look at all. Good Lord. What time is it? Yeah, 7:32, about time. I was about to say let's take a look at altcoin. Let's take a quick look at Link and then Sui. Let's see. All right, so taking a look at Sui. Yeah, I'll be honest, guys. Sui and XRP low-key holding up really good just in the general grand scheme of things. I do like Sui long-term. I do hold Sui. Not financial advice. Just because I hold it does not mean you should. I've been wrong before, and I will be wrong again. That's one of the guarantees I can give you. I will be right again, too. But, you know, I don't want anyone thinking like, oh, he holds it, I'm going to put my life savings into it. Just because I believe in it does not mean that it is guaranteed to make mega moves. But I do like Sui in general. For a long-term hold, it's holding up very good in all conditions here. But yeah, I mean, got above the low, flipped the low to support, POC, tried to get above. We're just kind of clinging to this POC, to be honest, right? Once you flip above the value area low, POC is very likely. The POC is the area where the most volume was transacted, as you can see by this high-volume node. This tends to be a magnet for price. That is the result of what we're seeing right here. Cling it, bing, bong, right? Eventually, when we flip this to support, it would call for a move up towards the weekly at 18.69 and up to the value area high at $20.68. Locally, let me just get my bearings here because we have not looked at Sui today just yet. So yeah, this golden pocket was held once. I mean, this kind of remains the same, definitely since the last time we've looked at Sui, right? This was our key level of support. This is when we had the 8-hour bull divs forming on a lot of stuff. A lot of altcoins were either approaching key Fibonacci levels like Sui, or even Cardano was approaching the value area low with the 8-hour bull divs. Higher lows on your momentum waves, lower lows on your price action, giving you that pop to the upside. And then, yeah, we've come back down to test this once again, right? You know, I always say the first test is usually better than the second test. You know, the more times you tap on a level, the more likely it is to open up that door, which that door would very likely lead to the 786. Once you lose that golden pocket, the next likely place for price to go is the 786. And if you can't get back above that POC, the next place for price to go is going to be that value area low. Those levels are confluent. So I would say if you lose this daily is now tapped. So I'll leave this on there for now just because it's in play. But you did have the daily golden pocket. You got the bounce, came back down. Lose this golden pocket, I'm looking down towards about 1178 down to about 1170. This would be a very important key level of support because if you lose that 786, sure, can you deviate below the volume profile? If you get bullish confirmations and reclaim, that could call for a move back up. However, overall, once you lose that 786 and you can't get back above it, that's usually going to call for a break of the low, right? So that's what I'd be looking at on Sui. Money flow wise, take a look at the higher time frames. 2-day money flow, you know, just still kind of wiggling around, going sideways here. 3-day money flow back in the red. 4-day money flow coming out. Yeah. Let's see, weekly VWAP. Oh, Bitcoin getting a drop or a pump. What is this? That is the drop. All right. So continuing that move to the downside. Was this? I'm gonna see. Was this the retest of the value area high? That is what I would have to guess. Could be wrong. Could be wrong. Was not. Retest of that value area high. Oh, man. Oh, man. Can't get back above this value area high. We may get accepted into this range. Whew. 5-minute money flow crossing over into the red here. Let's check that 2-hour. 2-hour red dot printing. That is a market cipher B 116 strategy. Four-hour VWAP continuing to the downside here. 15-minute money flow still in the red. So if we're going to get a bigger continuation down here, guys, I will say, now that we've already gotten the drop here, I will say the next kind of major medium time frame signal I would watch is this 15-minute money flow crossover. Maybe you bing bong around, you get the green dot on the 15-minute, but if this money flow crosses into the red, when you see this money flow trending out while you have your VWAP approaching the 0 line on the 4-hour for an incoming red dot, 4-hour red dot, 15-minute money flow crossover into the red does indicate that generally, at least within the context of the 15-minute, that trend may continue to the downside. Doesn't mean zero, but that is what I would look for a deeper retracement into this zone. Into this volume profile. So we'll see here. Deviate above the high, get back into the range. Can't get back out. Looking to come back down deeper into that volume profile. Eventually targeting the POC, but again, watch the beginning of the stream. We have some local support levels here that could hold up, but overall, could potentially, again, especially with that news, work us back down there towards that POC at about $104,000. So yeah, 15-minute money flow crossover would be the thing to watch, in my opinion, locally. Let's see. Chain link, yeah, let's see. Let's take a look at chain link real quick. Yeah, I mean, even Chainlink here with like almost the daily bull div, right? You have it. Yeah, you don't have it here really. You have a higher low technically. But you do have your green dot printing, 90-minute money flow attempting to cross over or is crossing over into the green. So again, it's really the news here, right? That news is really that bearish. This money flow crossovers into the green can get stepped on. Also lines up with the overall potential bigger bearish scenario on Bitcoin, where you look for that bigger drop to the downside towards $100,000. But just looking at the local levels here, let me pull up a link on the alt chart here so I can get my levels here. Let's see. Wait, did we already look at Chainlink, didn't we? Am I tripping? Did we look at Chainlink already? I think we did. Or is this just looking exactly the same as the last thing we were looking at? Tap daily. I literally just renamed that. 786 down below. I think we looked at this. If not, it looks exactly the same as what we just looked at. Hold up. What was the last thing? Was it H bar? Hang on. This is trippy. No. Was it? No. Was it Cardano? No. We did look at Link. Can somebody confirm? Shout out to Date Digital. Said, good night, you've had enough. We look at so many altcoins, guys. It gets so hard. Shout out to Hugo. Said, I was here when Frankie lost his mind. Chart go up. Chart go down. Golden pocket. Gold 786. Dumping. Pump. Value area high. I'm senile. Thank you, Frankie. Shout out to Kristen. No problem. Yeah, I think we same chart you were saying. It was Sui though. Oh wait, hang on. Maybe I'm not going crazy. Maybe I'm not senile, guys. Maybe I'm not senile. I don't know. Maybe I am senile, guys. I might be senile. Is it on this chart? No. Yeah, I don't know. I might be senile here. I definitely looked at something that looked exactly like that. So let's see. Bearish on brain cells. I'm short-circuiting. You're tripping. Okay, yeah, shout out to you didn't look at Link. Bro, what did I just look at? That we literally just said no way. Or no, we did look at Link. Hang on. I cannot be gaslit here. We just looked at this, guys. We just looked at this. Yes, we did look at Link. and not Sui. Yeah, no, we did look at Sui. We did look at Sui. I don't think we spent a lot of time on Sui. We did look at Sui, though. You looked at Link thinking it was Sui. No way. Is that... Hang on a second. This is impossible. All right. So we're going to look at 3 altcoins a day now, guys. This might be too much. You looked at Link and called. Shout out to Dave Digital. Thank you, bro. You looked at Link and it's so funny, bro. All right. Well, there you go. All right. Looking at Sui now. Still a project that I like. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. It really does look. A lot of the altcoins look pretty much the same, right? You have the daily. You got the bull divs to your wick lows, lower lows on price action, higher lows on your momentum waves, green dot looking to print. You really need to print this. Value area lows, your key level of resistance above $3.09. Anchored VWAP, also a big level to get above. So I would say even if you reclaim value area low, very important to get above that anchored VWAP. Once you reclaim the anchored VWAP, you could look for a potential push up towards that POC sitting at 376. However, see where this fib lies. Come on. Yeah, I mean, you also have your local golden pocket confluence on that anchored VWAP, so I will just, the anchored VWAP is obviously going to move, but I'll just draw that right now. This is going to move down, very likely if we push up. So, value area low is usually the doorway to higher prices, but I would say really for me to feel good about a continuation up towards that POC, you really got to flip not only the value area low, that's step number 1. Step number 2, get above the anchored VWAP, but really it's the break of the 786, 339, 340 almost. Flip that. That's where you can look up towards the POC of the range. Until then, it is a possibility to put in another lower high here if you do push to the upside. So if you do reclaim value area low, just understand the importance there of this zone between 340 and 321 for a potential lower high and a lower low, right? Technically... yeah, it's not the prettiest bull div, to be honest. But even so, the daily green dot could push you up there. Let's see, 90-minute money flow tried to cross over into the green. So, yeah, I mean, if you get the bigger drop down, I would say, key support still doorway to lower prices. This is what we looked at last week, sitting at about 282. If you get the bigger drop to the downside, get stuck under the doorway to lower prices at 282, that could call for a much bigger drop. And that would be in the case of Bitcoin getting the much bigger pullback, as I've said with almost every altcoin, or literally every altcoin that we looked at, before when we looked at Sui. Yeah, like right now, a lot of this stuff looks the same. You're getting rejected out of this volume profile. You could wiggle around down here, but overall, take a look at the higher time frames. 4-day money flow crossing into the red, 3-day money flow in the red. I would say as of right now, you still have to be careful of lower highs and lower lows, just based off the high time frame money flow. These green dots coming to print could give you the push up. Lower high and lower low would be more likely the case as far as money flow coming into the red, right? Overall anticipation of that trend is going to be to the downside. So yeah, I would say real doorway to the POC is not just the 786, not just the value area low. Typically, flip the value area low. Next likely place for price to go is the POC, right? But in this specific case, you really got to flip that 786 to get to the POC, right? And that does sit at 340, just about $3.39. Let's see. Shout out to Curtis Lee. Said, Frankie, you didn't do BTC yet. You were looking at the ETH chart. Shout out to Curtis Reese. It's Monday for sure. Mondays and Fridays, I am cooked. I was just live for 2 hours at the premium Discord where we also looked at a ton of altcoins. So it's like by the time I get onto this live stream, it's like it's all just candles on a chart, which is hilarious because at the end of the day, guys, if I got all my no label, no numbers, right? These all just said 00000. I had no name of the coin. Could still read the chart with the indicators and the levels, regardless of the price, right? These are just kind of like reference points, right? If these all just were ones, right, and no actual numerical value, we could still do the TA and make money, which is pretty wild. But yeah. On that note, guys, let's go. Let's go Pacers. Shout out to Giga Longbottom. Ahmed says BTC. Oh, yeah, we didn't cover BTC just yet. I'm just kidding, guys. But yeah, my sentiment remains the same here, guys. If you are just tuning in, scrub back to the beginning of the stream to get my full thoughts on Bitcoin. You will see us look at the price action here with our key level of resistance and what I'm anticipating moving forward. If we continue the downtrend, we look at the local levels of resistance, or I'm sorry, support. Good Lord, it's time to end the stream, guys. Look at the local levels of support as well as our, bigger targets to the downside. The reason why we are still open to a potential pullback to 100K and 97K. And then also the kind of bullish scenario. The charts are very, very chopped up right now for the short-term move. Are we going to keep skirting to the upside? Could be. We have the daily green dot, 90-minute money flow crossover. Scrub back to the beginning of the stream. You'll get the full breakdown. But yeah, as before I start saying the wrong community name, shout out to the Candle Gang. That's all the time we got. And we actually went long. We're here live for, was that 2 hours? I think it was over 2 hours. 2 hours and 4 minutes. We're over time, guys. But with all that being said, it's Dave's gas. Dave's gas is choking my brain here. But with all that being said, guys, that is all the time we got for tonight's live stream. I appreciate every single one of you guys hanging out here, even through the brain farts and the short circuiting that my brain just had. I appreciate everybody for being here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Smash that like button on the way out to help my brain cells recover for tomorrow night's live stream. And I'll see everybody who's in the premium Discord. And until tomorrow, I'll see you guys right here, same place, same time. 5:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is all the time I got for tonight's live stream. Hasta pasta. Candles, Frankie out. Candles, Frankie Candles out. Bing bong.
Look what's next for me, Joe. I'm gonna get that second bell. Where the is it? They should have had them 2 bells ready. Spit shine for me.
Yeah. Head up in the clouds, all they saying I look stressed. I've been feeling down, pray to God that I'm up next. Remember when she blew me off, that's why I can't text. Now she call me petty, but I swear I can't forget. This ain't a test. Now they saying that I ball like Jerry West. Coming back for what is mine, can't take no less. I said go and take a shot, so I need your best. And stop the threats, don't know what is in me. I don't got time, I'm not giving the energy. Too many people around me, I'm finicky. I do not mess with you, dog, you're not kidding me. You don't got way too close. I been up at the top now, so they all wait for the landslide. I seen too many people that switched up, whose man's high. Through it all, I stay the same, I swear to God, I can't lie. Been down so damn low that I came up for my life. They talk way too much on the internet, it's not real life. I swear my fam waiting, I can't lose and I'm still right. Still right, I swear that I'm working them up till like midnight. It's real life, I got a time and I'm coming to get mine. In time, I cannot lose and I'm coming right inside. I'm in my, yeah.
Trade didn't show login. Femex trade show short here. I just logged into Femex, guys. So there is that short position. And I was almost had to double check. I was like, I'm tripping today. Maybe I didn't short. But yeah, no, there's that short position. Just not logged into Femex. So there it is. And shout out to Marley says, so y'all still never answered never answered outside of already established tech. What does crypto provide? Since we're determining its value outside of fiat. Shout out to Marley. Crypto is just it's just internet fairy dust. It has no value whatsoever. It's all speculation and none of it means anything, but that doesn't mean that you can't make money trading Bitcoin or crypto, whether price is going up or down. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I guess this conversation has been going on for a while. But let's see. No fake out. Shout out to Eugene Sky. I almost forgot. I got to go take some brain supplements or something. But yeah, nice short. Shout out to CandleMafia's John Cena. Yeah, literally missing the stop loss by like the tiniest little bit here. Missing that stop loss of that 786. Like I said, stop loss just above that 786. Literally just missed that. So nice to see that jump to the downside. We'll see. Up about 1235 right now. But yeah, with all that being said, now guys, Saying with all said being tomorrow, 5:40 stream tomorrow, pasta asta. Bing bong bong.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah. On the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to